Okay, folks, first of all, thank you all in the room and online for your patience. We experienced some technical difficulties this morning. We appear to have those resolved. Good morning. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name's Larry Clay, and I'll be chairing today's session. Panel members today are Dylan Reed, Gary McKay, Peter Reed, and online Zahir Bayat. Our Deputy Secretary Treasurer today is Sabrina Salatino. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that the Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 of the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. When your item is called, you'll be unmuted by the moderator. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or, in some limited circumstances, to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal the decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set at the bottom of the decision. Today I'll call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee, and I'll comment when you're reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept new materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and make a presentation to the committee on the application, and then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we call first upon the speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion, and the application will be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes to confirm?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. Yes, the minutes from the April 23rd hearing.
Okay, I will move adoption of those minutes. Do I have a seconder? Peter? All in favor? Those minutes are adopted. Are there any declarations of interest from panel or staff for this morning's session? Seeing none.
Yes, Chair.
Oh, sorry. Zahir, did you have a
Yes, I do. It's the Davenport application. I believe it's item number 12.
Okay, thank you very much. And your reason for declaring the interest?
There are folks on the east side townhouse complex that I am acquainted with.
All right. Thank you. Any files to be closed today?
Through you, Mr. Chair, see none.
All right, and we have some deferral requests for this morning.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do have 3 deferral requests. Item number 6, 42 Rivercourt Boulevard, file number A0130/25TEY. Item number 13498 Queen Street East, file number A0169/25TEY. And item number 18236 Glen Manor Drive West. And the file number of that application is A0177/25TEY.
All right, so we will proceed to deal with item number 6, 42 Rivercourt Boulevard. I will read this into the record. This is an application to convert the existing 1.5-story detached dwelling into a 2-story dwelling, which represents a triplex by constructing a complete second-story addition, 2-story additions on the front, rear, and north side of the building, a front second-story balcony, a rear ground floor deck, a basement walkouts located on the front, rear, and north side of the building. There'll be a total of 3 residential dwelling units on this lot. 2 units within the basement level and 1 occupying the first and second levels. Committee has before a copy plan, a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of trees on the subject property, a deferral request from the agent, a tree protection plan. We have staff reports from urban forestry and community planning, and an advisory report from Metrolinx. There is correspondence and concern from 48 and 50 Rivercourt Boulevard. There's correspondence and opposition from 38, 40 Rivercourt Boulevard, 49 Pepler Avenue. A lot of opposition. 46, 53, 47 Rivercourt, 47 Pepler, 64, 40, 33, 34 Rivercourt, 51 Pepler, 37, 43, 44, and 45 Rivercourt, and 45 Pepler. I hope I haven't missed anyone. There's 1 no name provided, no address provided.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, and we have a number of registered speakers in opposition. So we'll hear from the agent first.
Great. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Name and address, please, sir. Hello? We lose him?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, so there is some technical problem actually. Yeah. So what happened?
Sorry, did you give us your name? I'm sorry. Did you give your name and address? Speak a little louder, please.
Yeah, this is Imran Khan. On behalf of the owner, I'm representing this file for 42 Rivercourt Boulevard.
Okay, sir. So you're requesting a deferral?
Yeah, requesting the deferral because of the planning staff. They have some recommendation, and we need time to revise the drawings.
And you're aware, of course, of the number of folks who have opposed this application?
Yeah, we didn't know about this number of people, but we knew a few number, okay? But now I know because you already have the statement how many people are actually having the problem with this proposal, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a number of people here today who have come down to speak on this item. And first of all, thank you for coming down. Really appreciate it. It's a big deal for people to take time out of their lives to do this. However, the applicant has requested a deferral, which basically means that they are going to go away and speak directly with, I think, forestry and community planning, because there's major concerns there. Plus, we will encourage the applicant to reach out and have conversations with those folks who have raised concerns about this application. So having said that, I'm going to call you up to very briefly come before the panel, and I'm only going to ask you one question, and that is whether you agree or not to the request for the deferral. We won't be speaking to the merits of the proposal today. So if I can, I don't know, Sabrina, how we're doing this?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. We'll have you come one by one. So you arrange and
Whoever wants to come
come up
first.
first.
So I do want to emphasize to everyone that if and when this application comes back, you will have a chance to speak to it if you still have concerns. So, good morning, ma'am. If I could have your name and address, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Catherine Conrad Davis. I am the owner and resident of 37 Rivercourt Boulevard. I have filed a letter of objection to the proposal.
And to the question, do you agree or not to the
I
request for deferral?
do not agree to the deferral. If I could ask my neighbors to show you who's here today to oppose this application, would you raise your hands, please?
Yes, we very much understand that.
So in addition to the letters that they have filed, they've come down today, and I'm very, very disappointed to hear that Mr. Khan was unaware of the number of people who have filed letters of objection. It appears that he's not paying any attention to the application. But these people are here to be heard today.
Yes, ma'am.
And we would
I
like to be
appreciate
heard
that.
on the merits of the
I'm
application.
sorry for cutting you off, but it's the procedure and protocol of the committee to do it this way. So you basically are opposed to the request for a deferral.
Yes, I am. And I believe you have the jurisdiction to either accede to his request or refuse it.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
All right. If I could have the next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Kenneth Doyle. I live at 40 Rivercourt, south side of the 42.
Thank you, sir. And to the question about deferral.
I object to the deferral.
Great, thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Joe Lawler. I live at 48 Rivercourt Boulevard, and I'm opposed to the deferral.
Great, thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good morning. My name is Milo Mitchell, and I live at 43 Rivercourt Boulevard, and I'm categorically opposed to the deferral and the original request.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Annick Torfs, and I live at 45 Rivercourt, and I'm opposed to deferral.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Steve Jarrett. I live at 35 Rivercourt, and I am opposed to the deferral.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Carson Jen at 49 Pepler Avenue, and I also am objecting to the deferral.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the room who wishes to speak on this item? All right, thank you. We will, is there folks online?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. We'll have to hear from those that are online. So we'll start with the owner at 50 Rivercourt.
Good morning. Is this Mr. Maloney?
No. Go down to Rodney now. Try, is Rodney online? Who's online? Dean's the only gentleman? Yeah. Okay, not Kimberly or anybody else? Through you, Mr. Chair, we only have the owner at 35 Brian Peck Crescent. So Dean?
Good morning.
Oh, hi, I'm Dean Minikakis, and
I'm Jonathan Dan. We're the owners of 44 Rivercourt Boulevard. We just reside at 35 Brian Peck. Sorry about that.
That's okay. To the question about deferral, sir.
We are objecting to the deferral.
Objecting, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
That's the, there are no further speakers, or do we have another person?
No further speakers online.
All right. Okay, thank you all. We'll take this into committee. Observations, guys? Peter?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. In the letter that the agent supplied, in regard to the deferral request, I think there is a clear acknowledgement that community planning has significant concerns, and that he's willing to respond to those concerns and revise the proposal. So I think that, plus there's the urban forestry issue, which is a real one, and I think that having additional time to revise the proposal is a positive thing, so I'm in support of a deferral.
Okay, anyone else? Dylan?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to acknowledge all the people who came down. We understand that that's really takes a lot of time. But in the face of community planning and forestry, very specific concerns, which I think reflect a lot of the concerns of the community, I think it's reasonable to offer the deferral.
Okay.
And I think my hope would be that the applicant would also, consult with the community as well, and make sure that, as well as addressing planning's concerns, they also address the concerns of the community.
All right, then I'll look to someone for a motion.
Sure, I'll move a motion to defer, and with a note to what Dylan mentioned about consulting with the public as well as the city.
Indeed. Motion by Mr. Reid to approve the request for deferral, seconded by the other Mr. Reid. All in favor? You have your deferral. And before we leave, again, we've all thanked you folks very much for coming down. It's a big deal. What I would say to you is that the fact that you have come out and raised those concerns, I think, has contributed to the fact that the applicant understands now that they need to revise this application, not only to reflect community planning and forestry concerns, but also to reflect the concerns that you collectively as a community have raised. So good on you. Thank you very much for participating. Your participation so far has had an impact. So thank you all. All right, our next deferral.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear item number 13.
All right. Sorry, hang on a sec. All right, item 13, 500 Queen Street East. This is an application to legalize and maintain the conversion of a rooming house into 8 residential dwelling units within this lawfully existing building. Committee has before it copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of the subject property, a deferral request from the agent, a copy of email correspondence between the agent and staff at the Committee of Adjustment, copy of correspondence between George Brown Professional Corporation and the tenants. In order to comply, affecting the subject property, email correspondence from Heritage Planning and from Transportation Services, staff report from Community Planning, and correspondence and concern from 455 Shooter and 96 Sumac.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dimitri Kolorov, and I'm the applicant on behalf of the owner for 500 Queen Street. I'm ready to answer any questions you may have about the application, but I believe it's quite clear that we have been opposed by community planning. We had a meeting on April 2nd, as stated in the letter and as per their letter submitted. And we are in process of trying to clear their concerns and trying to make sure that everything that will be done will be in compliance with the Residential Tenancy Act as well, and keeping in mind the specific current use of the building as a rooming house. So I'm aware that there are 2 letters of opposition from neighbors regarding the actual minor variances requested to allow no parking, which is technically physically
Okay,
impossible.
so I'm just going to cut you off there. I think we understand because you're asking for a deferral?
Yes, I'm asking for.
Thank you very much, sir. Panel, take us into committee. Does anyone have some thoughts or want to move a motion?
I will, Chair. I think it's reasonable. Like the concerns that city planning, community planning has brought up are real, and the applicant needs time to address them. And at the request of community planning, I put forward a motion that we defer this application.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to defer, seconded by Mr. McCabe. All in favor? You have your deferral. Thank you very much. Next deferral.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll move on to item number 18.
Okay. Item 18 is 236 Glen Manor Drive West. This is an application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by reconstructing the one-story west side addition with a complete second story above to contain a two-car garage and one secondary suite. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations received April 24th. Red line public notice from the agent received April 24th. 5 photographs of trees on the subject property, a covering letter from the agent, previous decision number affecting the subject property, a tree protection plan, and a shadow study. We have email correspondence from TRCA and from staff reports from Urban Forestry and Community Planning. There's correspondence and concern from 171 Hammersmith Avenue. Opposition from 160, 172, 168, and 170 Hammersmith Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online. No registered speakers for this item.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Name and address, please, sir.
This is Sean Galbraith, planner here on behalf of the application, 18 King Street East, Suite 1400.
Great, Sean. So you're seeking deferral today?
Yes, we have Urban Forestry's comments, and we've already started working with them, but we obviously need a little more time to try and address their concerns.
All right, thank you very much. Panel, Dylan, do you want to move a motion?
Yeah, I'm glad that this is being deferred because of the forestry refusal memo. So I'm glad that they're working on that, and it'd be great to address that. I noticed that there's also some community opposition, so I hope that the applicant will also take the opportunity to reach out to the neighbors to address any concerns they have. So for those reasons, I move that we accept the deferral.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to approve the request for deferral, seconded by Mr. McCabe. All in favor? You have your deferral, sir. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can now start with item number 1.
Thank you. All right, we resume our agenda with item number 1, which is 2 Coates Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor covered deck with stairs and a rear second floor covered balcony. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, and a tree protection plan. Do we have?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online. No registered speakers for this item.
Ms. Orzini.
Yep, speaking.
Oh, sorry, it says Danielle, I'm sorry. Name and address, please.
Daniel Orsini, 58 Rosemount Avenue, Unit 10, Toronto, Ontario.
Great, sir. This looks fairly straightforward. Panel, does anyone need a presentation on this one? Sir, we don't need a presentation this morning. We've read your application. We're familiar with the material. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
No further comments, just to keep the rear yard or the rear covered deck flush with the existing dwelling and to permit a 11.02 meters square meter platform for the second floor. That's it.
Right. Okay. Thank you. All right, let's go into committee. Anyone have some observations on this one or a motion? Peter?
Chair, thanks. This is a very straightforward application. I think the excess size of the balcony that's being requested is, the impact of that is negative, is not negative because of the way that it's tucked in behind the neighbors, I think. And the applicant has shown some privacy screening on both sides, and I think that makes it acceptable. So I'll move that we approve the application without condition.
All right, motion by Mr. Reed to approve. Do I have a seconder? Mr. McKay, all in favor? Zahir? Yep, okay. You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to item number 2. 95 Day Avenue, this is an application to legalize and maintain the existing rear ground floor deck with canopy and stairs, which was constructed without an authorized building permit. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevation, 6 photographs of the subject property, old permit drawings from the applicant, and in order to comply affecting the subject property. We have 3 form letters in support from 99, 103, and 110 Day Avenue, and correspondence and concern from 93 Day Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also have 1 registered speaker in support here in person and 1 registered speaker in opposition here in person.
All right. Okay, if we could have the agent, please. Good morning.
Sarah, you have been unmuted.
Ms. Anima?
Hi, Sarah Anima. You have been promoted to a panelist, so you have full control of the voice and communications. Go ahead.
She is online, right? Sarah, the issues at your end, Sarah, we've unmuted you.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, there you are.
Okay, fantastic.
All right, name and address, please.
Sarah Anima, 6 James Bowman Court.
And Sarah, we're going to need a presentation. We have some folks who wish to speak to this item.
Sure. Okay, so good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Sarah Anima. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother-in-law, Zilda Evangelista. We are here today for her property at 95 Day Avenue to request a minor variance to zoning bylaw sections 1010 4073, which is minimum side yard setbacks, and section 1010 or 10550 103, which is the rear yard soft landscaping for residential buildings other than an apartment building. The variances requested are in respect to a new backyard deck and concrete walkway. Specifically, we are seeking relief from the minimum side yard setback of 0.9 meters to less than 5 centimeters on the north side of the property. This is necessary so we are able to build a deck structure that matches the existing exterior face of the building face on that side. Otherwise, the current bylaw regulations would prevent her from utilizing a small irregular portion of the property between the deck and the fence, which would hinder her ability to make the appropriate use of the land and create an area that is difficult to maintain. We are also requesting relief from having a minimum 50% of the rear yard for soft landscaping to approximately 15%. This is necessary to build a concrete path and play area from the deck to the garage and around the south side of the house. The garage already occupies approximately 40% of the rear yard, so the current bylaw would prevent us from creating this clean and dry area to access her garage and for her grandchildren to play. We are aware that some concerns have been brought to light and would like to take a moment to address those concerns. The first 2 concerns were with regards to the environmental impact. One being that hardscape surfaces will contribute to the heat island effect, making the area less comfortable. And the second being that hardscape surfaces will increase water runoff, contributing to flooding and erosion. The deck being proposed is partially covered and will provide surfaces for outdoor furniture, patio tables, and umbrellas, all of which help to minimize any potential heat island effects. And with regards to runoff, it is our intention and understanding that we are not to direct runoff to any neighboring properties, and these variations will not change that. The final concern was in regards to hard surfaces, amplifying sounds, potentially making the surrounding backyards less peaceful and relaxing. We acknowledge this concern and note that the City of Toronto also has a bylaw that we do not intend, a noise bylaw, sorry, that we do not intend on nor believe that these variances will create a situation that contravenes this bylaw. We respect the opinions and concerns of those of Zilda's neighbors, as well as the members of the committee, and are prepared to address any additional concerns and are open to suggestions for mitigation of any other potential impacts. We believe this variance meets the request of the minor variance as it does not change or decrease the current setbacks of the property. It matches and blends with the current nature and character of the neighborhood. It will have negligible impacts on the neighbors, and it will actually improve the overall aesthetic and functionality of her property. We appreciate your time and consideration on this proposal.
Thank you. Sarah, just to clarify for the panel, there's an order to comply. Your site plan speaks to proposed deck and proposed concrete walkway. Are those already in place, or are they yet to be constructed?
Yes, construction had started, and we were issued to stop to get the permit, and we were told to address this presentation as if the construction hadn't started. So but yes, currently it is there, and we're trying to get the permits in place to legalize it.
So the concrete walkway is already been laid and it's in place?
Correct.
Okay. All right, is Zilda here? Are you here? Did you want to speak to this item, or are you okay?
I'm okay.
All right, thank you. And we have someone in opposition?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. First, we'll hear from the owner at 89 Day Avenue.
Well, Mr. Chair, my name's Alex. I'm from 89.
Have a seat.
Oh, I'm gonna say I'm for the.
Oh, okay.
I'm for it. So yeah, I have no problems with it. It's a small community. Areas are kind of tight. So, but yeah, definitely I'm for the.
Sorry, what was your address, sir?
89 Day Avenue. So I'm about 3 houses down.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can hear from the owner at 93 Day Avenue.
Hi. Name and address, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Steve Emeny, and I live at 93 Day Avenue. I'm a neighbor.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to say I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to make my views known in regards to the construction work done at 95 Day Avenue without a permit, and the distinction between a minor variance and a major impact. I write to you today because I love the city of Toronto and my neighborhood. I'm proud of the fact that Toronto is a world-class city. I feel privileged to live in Toronto because of all it has to offer. The police department, fire and ambulance services, garbage pickup, universal health care, world-class entertainment, a thriving business community, and a municipal government that is focused on building a city that Torontonians can be proud to call home. There are three key areas I'm concerned about regarding the importance of having a backyard with a minimum of 50% soft landscaping. Number one, the heat island effect. Hardscape surfaces absorb and retain heat, contributing to the heat island effect and making the area less comfortable. The climate change and the increasing number of hot days Torontonians will be experiencing is a very real danger facing our city. It is vitally important for all residents to abide by the bylaws so we can reduce the health risks to our citizens. Every project matters. Environmental concerns, number two. Hardscape materials like concrete and stone are often impermeable, increasing water runoff and potentially contributing to flooding or erosion. In addition, excess water that is not absorbed by the soil can run off into sewers and other waterways, putting undue stress on our water infrastructure. Also, the lack of water absorption in the soil impacts transpiration, the process that uses moisture in the soil to cool down temperatures in the evening. Number three, hard surfaces can amplify sounds, making the backyard less peaceful and relaxing. The amplified sounds contribute to noise pollution, and in a large city like Toronto, any reduction in noise is welcome. In conclusion, bylaws are created for a reason. They assure safety for homeowners and an environmental optimization, a commitment to implementing new ideas and technologies to make Toronto the best it can be for today's residents and those who will follow. A grain of rice can tip the scale. A minor variance is one thing, but approximately 35% of a backyard soft landscaping unfinished is another. If you multiply 35% more concrete in one backyard times 1,000 residents or 10,000 residents, that's a lot of concrete and a missed opportunity to move our city forward in the right direction. If all Torontonians do their part when called upon, in this case via bylaws, we all benefit. Permitted work provides peace of mind and ensures Torontonians a city we can all be proud of is being built. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? Thank you very much for coming down, sir.
Thank you.
We get the agent back.
Can you guys hear me?
Hi, yes. I wonder if you could take a moment to respond to the concerns you heard.
So I believe that this letter was submitted prior to this, as we tried to already shed some light on these concerns in our previous talk. As we had mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate those points. With regards to the potential heat island effect, the deck is going to be partially covered as it's shown on the deck canopy there. It provides surface for furniture, patio tables, umbrellas, all of which will reduce the heat island effect. With regards to runoff, we have no intentions of directing any water, any additional runoff to the neighboring properties, as it's not allowed. So the concern with regard to increasing water runoff shouldn't be, it should all be addressed onto our property and dealt with on our property. And with regards to noise, the city has alternate bylaws in effect addressing noise concerns, and I don't think these variances will contradict or contravene that bylaw in any ways. We are open to other solutions if those concerns still are there.
Great, thank you. Panel, any questions of the agent? Dylan?
Yeah. When you built the concrete pad, did you slope it towards the part of your garden's green space to avoid having it run off to the neighbor?
Correct. It is sloped towards the green space away from the neighboring property, and everything slopes towards that green space there.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question. This is something that we would normally, in these circumstances, ask people before construction. Normally, in a situation like this, we would often see if the applicant is open to applying permeable pavers in the backyard where they want something, a solid walkway. You've already laid the concrete, I understand. What would you feel about the idea of replacing some of that concrete with permeable pavers in the back?
We wouldn't be totally opposed to it. Unfortunately, the neighboring properties are also hardscaped. So our property in the direct vicinity provides for the most water management in the area, which is why it's a little concerning that the neighbors have issues, as we're still providing more green space than many of our neighboring properties. So.
Right. So what you're saying is that most of the neighboring properties have a similar, largely hardscape backyard?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's take this into committee.
If I may
go ahead,
Zahir. I recognize that this is already constructed, especially the concrete pad, but I find it impossible to support a reduction of soft landscaping to 15%. I always find it difficult that people engage in construction without sufficient thought as to what's involved and what permissions are allowed. So I find this very difficult to support a 15% soft landscaping and solid concrete. I do feel that the agent doesn't quite understand what heat island effect means. I believe the person in opposition was talking about the concrete, not the fact that there's no umbrella over or shading over the patio portion. So I don't have a concern about the patio because I suspect there's some permeability below, but I do have an objection to the concrete pad. Okay. So this is one that I cannot support variance number 2.
All right. Anyone else? Gary?
I agree with you.
Is your microphone on there, sir?
It is not. Well, I'd echo and endorse those remarks by Zahir. I have the same difficulty in supporting variance 2. Very large reduction in soft landscape.
Okay. Dylan raised the prospect of pulling that concrete and replacing it with permeable pavers. Is that something that the panel would consider? See here?
You know, I imagine, just looking at the site plan, a thought is that instead of permeable pavers, it appears that there's a portion, I believe it's on the, just trying to get the direction here. It might be the north side, I'm not quite sure. It's the area adjacent to, I think it's the south side. There's a portion that's adjacent to the neighbor's fence that perhaps could be dug out and turned into soft landscaping completely, so permeable pavers wouldn't be needed. So I'm, you know, permeable pavers could have been an option, but I don't know if it's sufficient. So I'm not really in favor of that unless they, you know, the agent can actually show what they'd be able to do.
All right, anyone else? Thoughts, Peter?
Just a comment. I mean, I'm kind of conflicted on this application because a 15% where 50 is required is extremely low. I get that, but looking at the site plan, like what's behind the deck, it's basically half of the backyard is green, right? And then the other half is concrete. I mean, these numbers are hard when there's a garage involved, right? Because you can't really do anything about the garage. And so effectively their usable backyard beyond the deck is almost half. And to the point that was made before, and it doesn't make it right, but this area is highly paved. I think a lot of these backyards are mostly paved. So I don't think it's necessarily like out of context in terms of the area around it.
Do you have thoughts on the permeable pavers or not?
I don't know. I always think that it's when you're ripping stuff up and then putting other concrete back, I don't know if it makes it necessarily better, but I'm conflicted on this one. That's what I'm saying.
Gary, thoughts? Oh, you already spoke to this.
I have, but just on the subject of permeable pavers, I don't know that they meet the definition of soft landscaping in the zoning.
They don't.
For sure, but yes, okay.
They don't, but they do potentially increase the permeability of water through. If that's our concern, that might be an option.
True.
Dylan?
Speaking to Zahir's comment, I'm wondering if we can ask the agent if she can see a way to add a little bit more green somewhere in the, I mean, I think, do planters count as soft landscaping?
No.
No, okay. But I wonder if she can see a way to, like, when I'm looking at the photos, it looks like the, you know, there might be space to dig up a little bit of the concrete and put something soft landscaping in.
Well, she was open to some mitigation measures, so maybe it might be a good idea. Let's go out of committee. We can get the agent back. Hi. So you've been listening to the concerns of the panel. 15% soft landscaping in your rear yard. While I appreciate that others in the neighborhood may historically have that doesn't mean going forward that that's something that we or the city is trying to achieve. So you've heard the concern about lack of soft landscaping. Is there anything you can do to improve that in your rear yard?
We can, as was suggested, maybe reduce the width of the concrete walkway in the backyard. I understand that the suggestion was along the south fence, the south fence line, maybe making something along that grass. My concern there is the neighbor that is concerned, that is his property line. So directing any potential water there to reduce runoff and allow water to infiltrate will, I think, exasperate the situation of water potentially crossing backyard lines.
No, there's a right of way there, right? So there's a right of way.
Correct.
So
yes.
You really can't do much on the right of way without your neighbor's approval. Maybe is there a portion of that concrete area that you could return to soft landscaping outside of the right of way?
Yeah, that's why. So to the north side, we can maybe reduce the width of the concrete walkway. It does make it less of a play area for her grandchildren, but I guess it would further increase.
Well, the grandchildren are going to grow up eventually, and the concrete won't.
I know,
So,
I know, it's unfortunate.
what we're going to
Yes.
do is ask you to give us a number, because we're asking you to amend the variance for soft landscaping. So would
Right,
you be able
so-
to like increase it to, I don't know, whatever you think? Right now it's 67, you need 67 square meters to meet the bylaw. You have 20.5 square meters. How much would you be able to improve that? And what would the change be to the variance? If you need a
Like the
little
max?
time to calculate that out, we can give that to you.
I just want to point, because the deck is considered hardscaping and the garage is considered hardscaping, the only piece we're left with, as Peter, I think, pointed out, was between the deck and the garage, which altogether, even if we were to do the whole thing, would only increase 7.6 times, give or take, like if we're at 15 at most, it like you wouldn't even get to 30% to make all of that softscaping.
No, we appreciate that, but that's an improvement, and I think the panel might appreciate your efforts on that regard.
We're open.
Okay, so would you like to amend that variance to say 30%?
Just, there is steps down, so, I mean, they're going to need a little.
I'm just
Like maybe
trying to get a number.
even 25% or something like that.
Yeah, so again, we're going to rely on you to come back with a number and whether that is satisfactory to the panel or not. Zilda, are you okay with all this? Okay, thank you. Now, you have to come up if you want to speak.
I have 14 by 12 there with patterns of stone where I can remove there and put some trees.
Sure. Again, we'll rely on the agent.
Yes, we
The
have-
problem is we've got to make a change to the variance, and we
Yes.
need a number. So
Yeah, I have
if your
a-
agent or your whoever's doing this can come up with a number, that would be great.
Yes, and then another way, it's all the gardens up there is the same as mine. No one have 15% of.
No, we understand that, but again, that's looking in the past. We're
Yeah.
trying to look forward.
So we all gardens, there is very short.
Okay,
And then I can put trees, and there I have a lot of space to put.
Great, thank you, ma'am.
And green. Okay, thank you.
Sarah, are you there? Are you working away at this?
Yeah,
or?
sorry, I'm just punching in some numbers here.
If you need time, we can stand this down and come back to you after the next item. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay. Why don't we stand this one down? We'll return to this item and proceed with item number 3. Which is 265, 267, and 269 Augusta Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing two-story mixed-use building by converting 2 of the existing commercial units, 265 and 267 Augusta Avenue, into eating establishments on the ground floor with storage within the basement. The existing residential dwelling units and eating establishments known as 269 Augusta will be maintained and unaltered. There'll be a total of 3 eating establishments on this lot. Committee has before it a copy plan, a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, a covering letter from the agent, and a tree protection plan. There is email correspondence from Heritage Planning and correspondence in opposition from Mr. Alvarado, no address provided.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask the presenter to present the community planning comment. It's under the very late materials.
Did we get that in the supplementary?
No, you wouldn't have received this as part of the supplementary as it came in very late.
All right, do we have the agent?
Yes, we do have the agent and no registered speakers for this item.
Okay, Ms. McFarland.
Thanks.
Good
morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. If you have name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Jane McFarland. I'm a planner with Weston Consulting, 268 Berkeley Street, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, you heard Sabrina suggest that if you could share with the panel the nature of the comments you received from community planning on this application.
Scroll it down so we can read the whole thing.
Is it on? Can we pull it up? Is that it? Oh, there it is. Okay, can you just, have you seen these?
From community planning, I've reviewed the condition. Yes, I have. It was posted on the AIC this morning, I believe.
Okay, and you're comfortable with this condition?
What I would like to state to, yes, Mr. Chair, I'm comfortable with imposing this condition should the committee see to approve the minor variance today.
Okay.
Can we just scroll up so that we can read the whole? Can we just scroll this up so we can read the whole thing?
Mostly to the comments.
The comments. Okay.
Just tighter plans?
Yeah. I just wanted to understand what the community.
All right, does anyone need a full presentation of this one? This is fairly straightforward. This is basically a change of use. Jane, we don't need a presentation on this application this morning. We've read the material. We're now familiar with the last minute planning comments, and I think we're probably comfortable with those. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
Mr. Chair, nothing further today.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? All right, let's take it into committee. Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's tons of restaurants in Kensington Market. This is completely normal. It seems like it must be some kind of vestigial bylaw. It doesn't really seem to apply to Kensington Market, where there are many, many restaurants beside each other. And also, it's great to actually have small restaurant spaces that, you know, enable access by independent restaurants.
Agreed.
So I think it's actually a really positive development and certainly in line with what the city is looking for Kensington and for the city. So I move that we approve this application with the planning condition.
Great. Motion by Mr. Reid to approve, subject to planning condition, seconded by Mr. Byatt. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you very much. If we can now just go back to item number 2, Day Avenue, and see if the agent has been able to recalculate some numbers. Sarah.
Sorry, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. So were you able to come up with some revised numbers?
I'm hoping if the committee is open to increasing that 15% to 21%, will reduce the size of the concrete slightly, providing more green space, but also allowing proper access to her deck and her backyard, garage access there as well. Sorry, I just want to speak to the comment on the heat island effect, noting anything that blocks the concrete, which is what I'm saying, patio furniture and such on the concrete, it will reduce the effects as well. So we have every intention of using that space. I do understand heat island effect. So our intentions are to block it. During committee, we did look at permeable pavers. We were talking to bylaw about permeable pavers, but at the end of the day, they noted that it's still hardscaping, so it doesn't count towards these percentages anyways. And just on a side note, the concrete walkway that is poured there, it was pavers that was just removed and poured. So it didn't change the historic use of the land or conditions of the land, which I understand. We're talking about this today, but any provisions to increase that to 20%, we appreciate your consideration.
Sorry, so let's just be clear. So you're amending variance number 2 to be 20%?
Correct.
And what is the square meterage?
It'll go from, sorry. Sorry. So it would bring the square meterage to just under 27 square meters of soft landscaping.
Do you want that to be 27 square meters? We just need to be precise.
Oh, sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Let's go back into committee on this one, panel. The agent has increased the soft landscaping in the rear. Dylan?
I think this is pretty reasonable at this point. It was an existing condition. There is a limit to what they can do. I do appreciate that they've made an effort. And, you know, it'll be some cost to tear up some of that concrete. So I think that given the circumstances, that it's now something I can support.
Okay. Anyone else? Peter?
Yeah, I agree, Dylan. I would suggest, though, I know the owner mentioned trees as an option, so I think maybe we could add a condition that a tree be planted in the rear yard, and I think...
I don't know. I wasn't sure if the owner was saying a tree was or was not.
Peter, we can go of committee and ask the agent, if you like.
Sure.
Back out of committee. Sarah, Peter's asked whether you would be able to install a tree in the rear yard. I think the owner...
1,000%. We will install a tree if that helps.
Okay, thank you. Back in committee, Peter. Thank you. Zahir, you initially were concerned about this one.
Chair, I still find 20% really not quite adequate. I think there's possibilities for increasing it, as I mentioned, along the fence line with the neighbor. There seems to be potential. So I'm not quite convinced that 20% is adequate.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, then I'll look to someone for motion. Dylan?
I'm happy to make a motion. I would move that we approve the variance.
Amended?
As amended. So to 20, with variance number 2, change to 20% and 27 square meters of soft landscaping, with the condition that a tree be planted in the backyard, and with the usual note that we don't approve of building without a building permit and before variances have been approved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to approve with those conditions, seconded by the other Mr. Reed. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, Mr. McKay and Mr. Byatt are opposed, but that motion carries. The application is approved. All right, we move on to item number 4. 291 George Street. This is an application to alter the existing 5-story apartment building by converting one parking space into storage area use. There will be a total of 47 parking spaces on site instead of 48. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of the subject property, and a cover letter from the agent. There's email correspondence from Heritage Planning and Transportation Services.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Luke Liu from Susan Spiegel Architect. 32 Sosamanda Street.
Thank you very much, sir. Hang on a sec. Panel, it's just a reduction of one parking space. Does anyone need a presentation?
No,
on
thanks,
this?
Chair.
No.
Sir, we don't need a presentation on this application this morning. We're familiar with what you're proposing. We've read all the material. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're in committee. Someone want to take this one?
Sure, I will,
Is it
Chair.
here?
Yeah, it's an extremely straightforward and a very minor change, so I have no concerns with it. There are no conditions attached to this application. So I'd like to move motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Mr. Byatt to approve this application, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
We move on to item number 5. 178 Atlas Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing rear one-story ancillary building by constructing a complete second-story addition, which will be cantilevered to the north side for one garden suite to occupy both levels. There'll be 2 bicycle parking spaces on the north side wall, and there'll be a total of 3 residential units, dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised site plan, floor plans, and elevation received April the 22nd and 23rd. Red line public notice, revised zoning notice received April 25th. 3 photographs of the subject property, a copy of correspondence between the agents and community planning, and staff report from urban forestry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, and we have 2 registered speakers in opposition online.
Okay.
And there are a very late revisions, so I'm assuming the
we'll walk
applicant
through.
will walk you through that.
All right, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Saba Al-Mathnou from QBS Architects. I am the agent.
Okay, ma'am, we do have some folks that are here are going to be wanting to speak this item, but before we do that, could we just walk through the public notice to make sure everyone's clear on what you're proposing?
Absolutely. So there is an existing garage that is 1 story, and we are proposing to convert it into a 2-story garden suite, keeping the existing footprint of the ground floor of the garage and adding stairs and adding a second floor with a cantilever to...
Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to stop you there. Could we just go through the variances in order so we're clear about what changes you're making?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So there is only one change to the variance itself we're doing, which increasing the soft landscaping from the existing 21.74% to 44.59% based on the planning's recommendation. So that's the only variance that we are changing. Also, it was brought to our attention that the existing dwelling is a triplex instead of duplex. So this is just like the amendment that you can see in front of you, that there will be a total of 4 residential units on the lot, 3 units within the main dwelling. This is the only change.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, if you could just continue on your overview of your application, please.
Yes, so as you can see before you, these are like the proposed floor plans. The existing coverage got increased only by the cantilever. So there is no physical like foundations increase. So the cantilever, you see, this is what is the increase in coverage. The 2 other variances regarding the side yard setbacks, these are due to the existing location of the existing garage on the ground floor, which you see in dark gray. So the dark gray to the left of the screen represents the proposed garden suite, the ground floor, which used to be the garage, and the X hatched area is the proposed second floor, which is completely cantilevering. So there are no foundations. Could you please, if you can go back to the perspective, like the 3D, I think it's easier to... Exactly. Thank you so much.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes, yes. So I don't have anything else to add. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. I just wanted to add something that our client went door to door to drop off 10 packages to the adjacent neighbors. He did not receive any letters of objection or support until this morning that I see these two people.
Okay, thank you. Why
Can
don't
I just ask a technical question before we get in? To the agent, just regarding variance number 4, I don't really understand this. It's saying that 50% of the lot is covered by the ancillary building. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, because so this variance, the 50% of the lot, the coverage of the ancillary building is 50%, as the allowable is 45%.
50% of the rear yard?
But the language says of the lot, right? The area of the lot covered by an ancillary building may not exceed 45% of the lot area.
Sabrina, is there
So maybe that's error on the zoning side.
check? So we're just
Definitely, it's not 50% of the lot, it's the rear yard.
okay.
You're right.
We're just going to check the wording with the actual zoning officer's report. In the meantime, can we go to? We have a speaker online.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do have one speaker, Nicholas.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Name and address, please, sir.
Nicholas Weinberg, and I live 178 Atlas Avenue. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Sir, did you say you live at 178 Atlas? You live in the property in question?
Yes.
Okay.
So, as the agent said, this is a triplex, and with 3 units and 3 tenants and 3 rents and 3 lives. Basement, first floor, second floor. I live in the first floor, and here I speak for myself only. I live here with my daughter, which is 13 years old, and well, of course, the holding whose this main building belongs doesn't live here. So all the nuisance will be for us. It means months or maybe years of construction work with all the nuisance and disruption for me and my daughter. Dust, chemical, security, and a lot of privacy disruption with power cuts, water cut-off, internet shutdowns, which all that is, of course, an issue for a tenant as me, and I'm a home worker. And in the long term, we'll also lose privacy and the peaceful enjoyment of the back of our unit and our backyard. So all that will kind of destroy the way we live, actually. And it will also have some impact on the well-being, health, and security of my daughter. So minor variance don't seem so minor, and they will have major impact on people, on me, and on my kid. Something that could be avoided if we just abide by the law. That's it. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, sir. Panel, any questions of the speaker? None. We'll bring the agent back. Hello? Is the agent online?
Thank you. I was muted.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Nicholas. And so, as I mentioned, it's our own interest also to have this construction as fast as possible. The fact that there is no foundation work, it will assist in the speed of this building itself. And it's also the owner's intention to do this as fast as possible with the least disturbance to everyone. What we can suggest fencing during the construction, which actually we have to do fencing during the construction. This is the bylaw. So the construction area will be fenced and secured so no one will be injured. Also, we can suggest having a fence to the backyard area to kind of separate the backyard of the main dwelling from the front yard of the garden suite. This could be discussed with the owners, but during construction, I can assure you this is the law. We need to keep it safe. And same thing in terms of the disturbance and the noise. The construction crew will have to obey the noise bylaw. So there are only certain hours during the day they can work, and they will obey that. Is there any other questions that you have? I'll be more than happy to answer.
Great, thank you. Panel, any questions to the agent? Sabrina, were you able to clarify the variance?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm looking at the zoning review and the section that's been quoted, and then I'm looking at the actual bylaw, and there might have been a discrepancy between floor area and lot coverage of ancillary buildings.
So this should be an FSI variance?
I would still think that it's the lot coverage of ancillary buildings.
But as Peter's point, is it for the rear yard or for the entire lot?
That I cannot confirm at this time.
Okay, thank you. Peter, let's take this into committee. Peter, I don't know if that gives you any clarity or not. It is a good observation, but I'm not sure we have a good answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's not accurate, you know.
You could tie it to the site plan if
Yeah.
you felt uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it does have the square meters, so I think that's a bit of a fail-safe, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Just a quick question, if I may, a point of to Mr. Reed's comments about the lot coverage. I kept hearing the agent mention that it's only the cantilever portion that exceeds the garage. Everything else is based on the foundation of the garage will not be changed. However, on the site plan, there is a portion, and it's identified as light gray, defines proposed ground floor additions. I imagine that's the portion that exceeds or creeps into the additional coverage, lot coverage. So going from presumably 45 to 50%, I suspect that's the area. Just another comment, actually, is that I am glad that there was a revision made with regard to the soft landscaping issue. It really did change it quite considerably.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Anyone want to move a motion, Peter, since you were talking on this one?
Sure, Chair. I'm happy to. I think, regardless of that variance 4, which I think is done in error, but I don't think that's going to change the substance of the application. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening here. The fact that they're using an existing garage and just basically going up on top of that limits any kind of negative impacts that otherwise might be incurred with this kind of application. And the improvements to the rear yard landscaping are extremely important. I don't think I'd be supporting this if it were unamended. So I'll move approval of the application as amended. That's with the purpose being clarified and with variance number 1 amended. And I'll tie it to the site plan just to ensure that
The revised site plan.
the revised site plan so that variance 4 is not misinterpreted.
Okay. Motion by Mr.
Also Forestry 3.
Pardon me, yeah.
Forestry number 3, yeah.
Number 3.
Motion by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Okay, item number 6 was deferred. we move on to item number 7, which is 34 Presteign Avenue. This is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with an integral garage, a widened driveway, a covered front porch, and a rear first-story deck with a second-story balcony above. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of site, survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of the subject property. We have email correspondence from Transportation Development Review. And also from Urban Forestry, we have a 7 signature petition in support signed by owners, occupants of 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 35, and 36 Presteign Avenue. And
Right, through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
good morning.
Morning, Committee Chair. Good morning, committee members. My name is Eduard Vigay, 14 Beale Side Park Drive. I'm the applicant for the file.
All right, sir. This is a new build, so perhaps a short overview presentation, please.
So we have an existing bungalow, and as you can see there with interrupted lines, we're building a new house, and we're going a little bit further back from the lot as existing house, and you can see there also with a porch, so we're going like maybe 2 feet on the front, and it's I think it's mid-range building. It's not big, it's not small. We have the support of the side neighbors and the front and everywhere the neighbors, and more they wanted to give a letter of support. They are like a family-tied neighborhood there. It's gonna be a 2-story house with a basement. We have a small deck on the rear and the front porch. And we have 7 minor variances. Do you want me to read those?
No, I think we're fine, sir. Just wanted to give an overview. Panel, is there any questions of the speaker? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Let's take this into committee. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm happy to make a motion to approve these variances. All of the variances are actually really minor. They're really small. The driveway is essentially the existing driveway as transportation agreed. Also, the neighbors have already rebuilt in very much a similar style and size, so it really is just building up to what the neighborhood's already developing. So I think it's very supportable. It's a thoughtful and reasonably modest proposal. So I move that we approve this with forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to approve with those conditions, seconded by Mr. Mc... Oh, sorry, I got Mr. Gary, got Gary before you here. Seconded by Mr. McCabe. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Item number 8 is 28 Jerome Street. This is an application to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a front 1-story addition, which is basically a porch enclosure. Committee has a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of subject property, and presentation materials from the applicant. There is an advisory report from Metrolinx.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, and I believe we have 1 registered speaker in opposition.
Okay. Ms. Gordon.
It's actually her husband, Pedro Colucci,
okay.
The owner.
Oh, Mr. Milchin. Hello. Name and address, please, sir.
Pedro Colucci, 28 Jerome Street. Good morning, Chair and Committee of Adjustment.
Good morning. We do have someone who appears to be opposed to this application, so we'll need a short presentation. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Hang on a sec, Peter. Is the person here? Or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, is the owner of 30 Jerome Street here in person? See none. and not online? Okay.
Okay, hang on a sec, Peter. We thought we had someone from 30 Jerome Street registered to speak, but they're not here or online. But this is basically just a porch enclosure?
Correct. It's an existing porch, and I'm just putting 3 walls on the porch just to create a mudroom on the porch. So there's no new structure. It's just enclosing the existing porch.
Okay, thank you. Panel, is there any questions? Okay, let's go into committee. This is fairly straightforward. Porch enclosures are quite common. So what do you, Peter?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'm happy to bring a motion. And particularly with this strip of houses being set back compared to the houses to the east of it, I think will minimize any impact of this porch enclosure, which is a common thing. I'll move approval of the application. I think that the variance is small, but I would like to tie it to the site plan just to ensure that this setback is limited to the porch enclosure.
Okay.
And one story.
Motion by Mr. Reed to approve, tied to site plan. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
Okay, I got you this time, Zahir. Thank you.
Yeah, I beat Danny
All in
to that.
favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number, does anyone need a break? Do you want a 5 minute?
This might be quite.
5 minute breaks? 5 minute enough?
Might be helpful.
Sabrina, 5 minute break?
Good idea.
Please turn off your videos, microphones.
get back going. Okay, we resume with item number 9, 7 Taylor Drive. This is an application to alter or to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with a front porch with stairs, a front integral garage, a rear ground floor deck with stairs, front and rear second-story balconies, and a front third-story balcony. There'll be 4 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property, presentation materials from the agent. We have staff report from Urban Forestry and an advisory report from Urban Forestry. We have correspondence in opposition from owners of 2, 5, 9, and 35 Taylor Drive, 11 and 16 Ralston Avenue. We have correspondence in opposition from Hector Stutsis on behalf of owners, occupants of properties on Taylor Drive, Ralston Avenue, Barbara Crescent, Coxwell Boulevard, and Tremontium Crescent. There's 50 form letters in opposition from owners, occupants of Taylor Drive, Barbara Crescent, Coxwell Boulevard, and Ralston Avenue, received on April 22nd and April 23rd.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, and we have 10 registered speakers in opposition.
All right. Mr. Benkowski.
Good afternoon. Sorry, good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, committee.
Good morning. We have a number of people who wish to speak to this item, so we'll need a presentation, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. If we could just stay on this slide, please. So sorry. Excuse me, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, this is a proposal to construct a new 3-story. If we could just go back to the first slide, please. If this is a proposal to construct a new 3-story fourplex. Generally, I wouldn't put an overhead like this on, but what I would just like this to demonstrate is really the nature of Taylor Drive here, that is coming from a south-northwest down to a southeast angle. What that really creates is an inconsistent rear street wall of any proposed building that's here. Again, we don't see any alignment of any rear street wall. That isn't reflective of any variance I have, but I will tie that in as we continue on. If you could go to the next slide, please. So on this slide here, what I've taken is the proposed dwelling, which is indicated with the yellow lines, and the existing dwelling, which is indicated by the blue line. The only portion of the dwelling that is requesting a reduction to the side yard setback is the yellow portion on the west side of the house, which only pertains to the garage. Interestingly enough, that actually matches the existing setback that is there today, as we can see from the blue. Further to that, we do see a small portion of the blue that is outside of the proposed house that did extend further into that reduced side yard setback. Other than that reduction for the side yard setback at the front to go to 0.9 meters, the entirety of the dwelling is zoning bylaw compliant with the side yard setbacks, as we can see with the highlighted yellow portion towards the rear of the house at 1.2 meters. So the actual magnitude of the reduction of that side yard setback on the west is less than what is on the site today. If we can go to the next slide, please. Actually, if we could just stay on that one, please. My apologies. If we could stay on that. I'd like to now speak to the coverage. The coverage increase relates to the general purpose really is to ensure that the building envelope does not cover too much of the site so that there's sufficient space for outdoor amenities as well as setbacks. If we could just go up a little bit just so we could see the rear yard, please. So as I reviewed previously, the only portion of the dwelling that is contributing to the increase in the coverage is that small yellow area for the reduction of the side yard setback. The dwelling is actually proposed below the 17-meter building length that is permitted under the zoning bylaw. In my opinion, again, tying it back to the streetscape, and as we can see the houses here, it's quite evident that they are all built on an area. Now, the front walls generally do align on that angle, but as we can see here, the rear walls do not. So in terms of any impact from the increase in coverage as it would relate to the adjacent neighbors, in my opinion, there's nothing that would cause any type of adverse impact that would affect them. As we can see, the house to the east, to the west at number 5, we are slightly built to the rear of that. But then if we look at the house at number 9, that is significantly built to the rear of the proposed house. Again, that is because of the rear lot lines actually extending on a straight line, as we saw on the previous slide, which was the overhead, whereas the front lot lines, yes, that's perfect. The front lot lines are, again, along that angle with the rear lot lines being straight. If we could go to the front elevation slide. So the last variance I wanted to touch on is to address the variance for the dormer width. It's important we remember that the height is not a variance. There is no request for an increase in height that is before you today. The variance that is before you today only deals with the area of those dormers. That mass that you see right there on the screen, except again for that 0.3 meter side yard setback request on the garage side that we have, is a permitted mass. The height, the roof, everything is permitted under the zoning bylaw. The request before you today is for an increase in only the dormer width. So the variance is for a slight increase in that total width of the dormer. If we look at the 3 dormers on the screen, I have added a graphic to indicate where we are in excess. The 2 yellow portions on each dormer are indicative of what that increase is. If those yellow portions were to be removed from those dormers, it would be zoning bylaw compliant at 40%. The increase is, again, only for the yellow portions on each dormer. That, if we take those 3 dormers, is essentially 4 inches on each side. So in total, we are essentially 0.56 meters, or approximately 22 inches over in total dormer width for the sum of all 3 of them. In my opinion, this request is minor in nature and would really be indiscernible from the streetscape itself.
All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. I'm going to have to cut you off there, sir.
Yes, I will, Mr. Chair, very quickly. I have included the SAS policies that deal with the 4plexes. I have highlighted the relevant sections. I don't think we need to review them in great detail. I've also included a photo book just to show the site, the situation of the adjacent dwellings as well as those on Taylor. I'm happy to answer any.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, we'll hold our questions until we hear from the speakers. Is there folks here in the room?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I believe the owner at 15 Taylor Drive is here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and respected committee. So I live 3
Sorry, just name and address,
please. I live 3 houses down from 7 Taylor on the east side. And I'm requesting that the committee deny these variances. At the very least, allow us a 60 days deferral so that we can better prepare to discuss things with the existing owner. We've been living beside this property for the past 5 years. It's been burned down. There's been many occasions where the property has been neglected. My son and I, on 2 occasions, have gone and trimmed the bushes that were encroaching onto the sidewalk to let people pass. I say this because this essentially is going to be a new business that is being erected on our street. The landlord is not going to be an on-site landlord. He's going to be managing the property from elsewhere. And I think there's a couple of concerns, at least from my point, considering this is a single-family dwelling street, and now we're conducting a new business where we're going to have 4 apartments. I find it difficult to see how the waste management is going to be managed. If each house has 3 bins, that's a total of 12 bins that have to be managed either on the side of the property or put on the property. And then every Friday where we have waste management, or every Thursday, these are put on the street that are collected by the city. Problem is, the way that the city collects these bins is they pick them up automatically and then they get dispersed randomly throughout the street. So it could cause potential damage to other vehicles. The other issue is parking. Parking on this street is nearly impossible. I don't see how we're going to manage the parking situation with 4 apartments on this, in this area. I only see one garage there, so if we assume that every house has one vehicle and there's no registered street parking, how is this going to be managed? The building is across the street from a park, so on a daily basis, we have, at least in front of my street, I always have cars parked there for people that go visit the park. So parking is going to be a major problem. In the wintertime in particular, the city only plows one lane, so one row up and down the street, and that's maybe 3 or 4 days after a storm. So each house has at least 3-foot piles of snow that we shovel to allow our vehicles to get through. Many of the residents plow the main public roads. We use shovels and snow blowers to get ourselves in and out. So in the wintertime, it is nearly a standstill on that street. So how are we going to manage 4 extra vehicles? I don't see how that's possible. And I think this changes the very nature of the neighborhood. Taylor Drive is a street that, in my opinion, we aspire to. I've known of this street since I was a kid. We moved in there 5 years ago, and I don't think it's a street that supports a 4-unit complex of apartments. This is why I respectfully request that you deny the variances, or once again, give us at least a 60-day deferral so we can better prepare and discuss things with the owner to see if we can have a different plan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Questions of the speaker? Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone else in the room on this item?
See none. Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll now hear from those that are online. So we'll start with the owner at 9 Taylor Drive.
Hello, good morning, members of the committee, staff, and neighbors. My name is Frank Pomastro, and my family and I live at 9 Taylor Drive, immediately beside the subject property at 7 Taylor Drive. I'm speaking today to strongly oppose these requested variances. I urge the committee to consider not only the technical numbers, but also the real daily impacts that an approval would cause me and my family. Impacts are not minor or appropriate. So the lot coverage variance is an overbuild request, well beyond the permitted 35%. That would add an extra 21.38 meters or square meters of building that will loom directly beside my property. Significantly reduce the green space, increase the mass and bulk of the new structure, towering over my backyard, cast shadows that will rob my yard and home of natural light, and create privacy invasions through rear and front balconies that directly overlook my outdoor space. This proposal is severely compromise my family's enjoyment, privacy, and access to light. These are rights that the zoning bylaw were designed to protect. The applicant also wants to increase the dormer width from the permitted 40% to 45.5% on the front wall. This will overwhelm the front elevation, given the structure and out-of-place bulky appearance, erode the consistent and harmonious streetscape that Taylor Drive is known for, and set a damaging precedent for future out-of-scale developments. The result is not just visual, it changes the experience of living here, where openness and sky views are part of our quality of life. Other critical personal impacts: privacy breach. The 4-dwelling unit means far more people using balconies, decks, and yards, all overlooking my private property. Noise gatherings, conversations, all intruding into what is supposed to be my family's private outdoor space. Mechanical noise. With 4 units, there will likely be multiple air conditioning and condenser units placed outside. Without clear plans provided, I am forced to assume that the noise generated will add a constant background disturbance to my property, severely affecting my family's quality of life. Water infrastructure deficiencies. Taylor Drive already suffers from documented low water pressures. The city has told residents that improvements would be at our own expense. How can this 4-unit dwelling be added without any assurances that basic infrastructure can even support it? This is inconvenient and will cause hardship and affects ours and our other residents' basic living conditions. Each variance is called minor, but together, the lot coverage, dormer width, and reduced setback create a massive dominant privacy invading structure that is not in character with our street. Together, they are not minor. I must also note that 7 Taylor Drive has already sat neglected and fire damaged for over 5 years right beside my home. This has directly impacted my property's appearance, property value, and daily enjoyment. And now, instead of a reasonable improvement, we are facing a proposal for a massive out-of-scale structure that would create even greater negative impacts for years to come. In closing, I respectfully ask the committee to stand with the residents and with the vision for stable residential neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, panel? No? Next speaker?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at number 5 Taylor Drive.
My name is Hector Strutzes. I live at 5 Taylor Drive, the adjacent property to the west of 7 Taylor. Firstly, I'd like the opportunity to request a deferral for 60 days, any decision for 60 days, to allow our community, who is deeply concerned with this proposal, a chance to have a meaningful dialogue with the owner of number 7 Taylor. And that hopefully we will be able to find a solution that will benefit both the community, the neighbors, and the owner at number 7 Taylor. In addition to that, the current residents would like an opportunity to consult with their own planner, to obtain legal advice, and to have some more time to discuss amongst us whether we can find a better solution for this property. Given the proximity of this proposed development to my property, I would like to speak to the reduction of the side yard setback from 1.2 meters to 0.9 meters. I feel this will impact me with reduction in airflow between the properties, reduction in privacy, an increased potential for noise, just as my neighbor at 9 just stated. And I also have concerns for water drainage and water runoff. And just to add to something that Jonathan said in the opening statement, my garage, which was located on the south part of the property, was also at 0.9 meters, but I recently built a new house and respected the 1.2 meter setback and set my entire property back to accommodate that. A secondary concern of mine would be that the current fence between the two properties is completely built on my side of the property. And that was done because when I was building, the property owner was located in California, and we couldn't access him or find information for him, so we could build a mutual fence. So my concern is that if the fence is 3 inches on my side of the property, and the current owner is now leaning his construction materials because he's a builder elsewhere on my fence, what is going to happen to my property once construction is complete and 4 families are storing their materials up against my fence? Finally, I'd like to submit to the committee that the proposed development, as suggested and configured, in my opinion, does not represent the highest and best use of the land at 7 Taylor in accordance with conventional evaluation standards. Consequently, in my opinion, the proposed development will not be profitable. It will be a profitable venture to the owner. Furthermore, this could diminish the development's potential to enhance the community fabric and quality. In summary, the planned development is likely to result in a dysfunctional property that fosters discord amongst future neighbors and current neighbors, thereby reducing the overall quality of life and social cohesion of the neighborhood. This proposal, in my opinion, appears to be been poorly conceived, and it appears to be it appears to the community as a whole to have been rushed. We plead with the committee to defer any decision for 60 days and allow us time to confer with the owner at 7 Taylor and try to find a more amicable solution. And I further request that you consider the deferral request by Urban Forestry. As a mature tree located at the back of the property is a silent member of our beloved community and will likely be damaged by his construction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Just want to clarify, we don't have a deferral request or recommendation from Urban Forestry on this file.
Okay, we received a letter, or we found a letter that's dated for April 23rd, 2025. And I can pull it up here. Give me 1 second. In which case the Urban Forestry request.
That's an advisory memo, sir, and I think the agent is aware of that and can speak to that if you like. Thank you. We'll move on to the next speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 2 Taylor Drive.
Mr. Chair, respected members of the committee. My name is Peter Andruzos. I live at 2 Taylor Drive, which is directly across the street from the property in the application. I'd like to thank the committee for providing me with an opportunity to speak today, but I have to raise several serious concerns that this proposed application creates for the street and neighborhood that my neighbors and I love. First, waste management. There is no designated garbage storage or pickup area as shown in the plan submitted. As the proposed setback makes it difficult for bins to go on either side of the property, the bins could be forced to be stored in the front. In contrast, I keep all my bins in my garbage in my garage, as do the residents of the lots adjacent to the property in question. If the proposed variances are approved, the resulting fourplex would mean 4 separate households on one lot, and therefore 12 or more bins lined up at the curb each and every week. Without clear waste management solutions, bins would clutter the front of the property and likely spill over into the public sidewalk and street, degrading the streetscape, create a huge eyesore for me, reduce neighborhood sidewalk access, which is really only available on the south side of Taylor, and attract pests, raccoons, rats, and coyotes, the latter of which are already a problem as the property is near a ravine. Secondly, the proposed garage that incidentally may be full of garbage bins is too small to realistically accommodate four plus vehicles. Most of the tenants that would rent these units at the proposed development would require a car. Larger families would typically have more than one vehicle. This is the reality of living in our city, especially since the property is not anywhere near a transit hub, let alone any amenities or city services, which aside from the park, were the stimuli leading to the approval of the multiplex developments in the city. There is an additional issue of parking during the winter months where our last season challenged us with immense snow removal problems that resulted in Taylor Drive and other neighborhood streets becoming a de facto single lane thoroughfares with mountains of ice and snow on both sides. So I ask, where will the cars go? The lack of adequate on-site parking will increase congestion, create safety risks for children and seniors accessing the park. Third, I'd like to highlight an infrastructure issue, namely water pressure. The reality is that Taylor Drive has struggled for years with low water pressure, especially during summer months when demand is high. Allowing a fourplex with 4 units and multiple bathrooms, kitchens, and laundry facilities would add substantial demand on an already strained water system. This would worsen water pressure for everyone in the street. Lastly, my understanding is that there was a subsequent request for a removal of a mature tree at the rear of the property, which was not included in the original notification that was sent out to residents. Removal of this tree that provides important shade during blistering summer months will return the proposed development into a heat island, which retains ambient heat and forces increased use of air conditioners, of which there will be at least 4 in a fourplex. This will be very noisy. Hence, the requested variance for increasing lot coverage from 35 to 40.5%, which is a 15.7% increase, by sacrificing this important tree seems ill-advised. As an owner of a heavily forested ravine lot under the purview of the Conservation Authority, I do not agree with the removal of this tree, and further support the recommendation by the Urban Forestry Authority to deny its removal. In summary, I see the request in the application regarding setback, coverage, and tree removal as failing at least one of the 4 tests outlined in the city. They are not minor in nature. They have serious effects which seem to have not been taken into consideration, e.g. waste removal, vehicle management, infrastructure, and the tree canopy. Combined, all of these variances have a major effect, not a minor one. The variances do not bear in mind the general purpose of the official plan, which maintains setbacks. And third, the proposed variances are not desirable for the appropriate development of the land because permitting them will lead to the erosion of services, safety, and livability for all existing residents. To close, I support the idea of a 60-day or at minimum a 30-day deferral to allow for meaningful engagement with the applicant and proper modification of the project to better respect and protect our wonderful neighborhood. If a deferral cannot be granted, I urge this committee to deny the indicated variances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, our next speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 17 Taylor Drive.
Good morning.
Impacts of the proposed development at 7 Taylor Drive.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Callie Lacrezos, 17 Taylor Drive.
Great. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm here to speak about the environmental impacts of the proposed development at 7 Taylor Drive, particularly the threat to the magnificent mature red oak tree located at the rear of the property. As someone who treasures our urban canopy, I have 8 large mature trees in my backyard alone. I can speak personally to how much these trees mean to our neighborhood, our health, and the character of our street. The tree is not just a backyard feature. It's a 94-centimeter diameter red oak tree that's protected under the Toronto Private Tree Bylaw. It provides critical ecological services. It cools the air, filters pollution, manages stormwater runoff, supports biodiversity, and contributes to our urban forecast. And it's taken decades, if not a century, for this tree to reach its size and stature. My understanding of the applicant's notes is that he's seeking to cut the tree down, although on the original application it indicated no removal of any protected tree. And I speak for all residents who are opposing these variances that we do not want the tree to be destroyed or removed. Urban Forestry has submitted an advisory letter dated April 23, stating that the proposed project design, particularly the rear deck and dwelling placement, would significantly encroach into the tree protection zone. And Urban Forestry made it clear that the healthy tree should be and could be preserved, and that any application to destroy it may be denied. Given these facts, the proposed variances clearly fail the 4-part test required under planning. First, they do not maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan, which prioritizes the protection and enhancement of the urban forest and natural heritage. Second, they do not maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, which is designed to ensure that built form does not come at the cost of important environmental and community assets. Third, the variances are not minor. The loss of a healthy century-old oak tree, an irreplaceable natural feature, is a major environmental impact. It's not minor in scale or effect. Fourth, the variances are not desirable for the appropriate development of the land. Appropriate development should enhance and complement the community, not degrade it by eliminating longstanding natural assets that define the neighborhood's character. When applied the 4-part test, the environmental consequences alone show why these variances cannot be approved as proposed. Allowing the removal of a healthy landmark tree would compound the negative impact that neighboring residents have already had to endure, noting the state of the subject property for the past 5 years. For these reasons and the reasons set out by my fellow neighbors, I respectfully request that the committee deny the requested variances. In the alternative, I request a reserved decision and a 60-day deferral, or at a minimum a 30-day deferral, to allow time for meaningful engagement with the applicant to modify the proposal in a way that preserves this irreplaceable tree and reduces negative impacts on the neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker. How many do we have left, Sabrina? Do you know?
6 more speakers.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from Lisa Simone. I don't have an address listed here.
Lisa.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could give full name and address, please.
My name is Lisa Simone, and I am speaking on behalf of my elderly parents who own and reside at 11 Ralston Avenue for 58 years. I reside there as well, which is directly behind 7 Taylor Drive.
Okay.
I must note that our neighborhood was given very limited time to respond to this application. We scrambled to research legislation, case law, zoning, and consulted a third party only briefly, just to have some say here today. We hope the committee has reviewed our letter dated April 22nd. I urge this committee to apply each legal test correctly, none to be disregarded, each to be individually fully satisfied as the divisional court has held, namely the following. First, minor test. Minor is not a small numerical issue, it is about impact. This proposal would cause direct, serious, and permanent impacts. Overlook from 4 decks, not typical in this neighborhood. Increased noise and activity, 4 units, multiple balconies, AC and condenser units. Visual massing that dominates neighboring homes, variances that harm neighbors with cumulative impact. 5.5% increase in lot coverage may seem small, effects are not. Combined with oversized dormers, reduced landscaping, potentially gutting protected urban forestry, and 2 front, 2 rear decks on multi-levels. From my limited case law research in Romaldo versus Toronto, even a 3% increase in lot coverage was found not minor, where it caused privacy loss and therefore was denied. Second, desirable test. Desirability is not about what's good for the applicant, it's about the broader public interest. Is it good for neighboring residents, preserving livability, safety, and neighborhood character? No. Our privacy, peace, and green space would be sacrificed. The build would be abrupt, incompatible, and disrespectful of Taylor Drive and connecting streets. Because a fourplex is permitted by policy in some form does not automatically make any proposed design desirable. Development must be compatible with the physical character of the neighborhood in form, function, and impact, not just technically allowed. Third, does it maintain the zoning bylaw? Zoning bylaws are law, not suggestions, meant to protect stable residential areas and maintain adequate separation between dwellings. For example, parking is tied to land use, but remains a mystery here. A vague or deficient parking plan signals over-intensification and pushes the burden onto the street and neighbors. Variances are not a right, but exceptions that must be strictly justified, not granted casually. No hardship or necessity has been shown, as the higher court has opined. Approval here would dilute the bylaw and set a dangerous precedent. Fourth, the official plan test. Despite the amendment, the official plan still calls for gentle, context-sensitive growth. This is neither. This is not the kind of evolution the plan envisions for neighborhoods like ours. The plan requires change to respect and reinforce the area's physical character. This proposal does the opposite. It overbuilds and intrudes. Approving it would weaken the plan's binding principles and erode public confidence in the process. On direct personal impact, that second-story balcony is a serious violation of our privacy. Unlike windows, this is a platform for regular social activity, people barbecuing, entertaining, talking, with full view into our backyard. Our deck is our primary outdoor living space. We never thought we would face this privacy breach. My advanced elder parents would bear the cost of building privacy screens or planting dense trees with no guarantee of restored privacy, nor would it correct the noise to mitigate the damage forced on us. A variance that makes neighbors retrofit in self-defense is neither minor nor reasonable. Noise will rise, green space will vanish. This is a permanent intrusion, not a small adjustment, and not a justification for a developer windfall at the community's expense. The applicant bought this property 3 years ago. It suffered a major fire, yet he has done nothing to clean it up. The front and backyard remain neglected, full of burned, broken debris and weeds. 5 years we have looked at this every day, along with the vermin it brings. This raises serious questions about his willingness or ability to maintain a more intensive development going forward. With that said, these do not change the fact that the legal tests are not met. Accordingly, the committee should deny these variances and application due to failure to meet the tests. But if the committee is not prepared to decide today, I support the request for a 30 to 60-day deferral for further review and public input. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, our next speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 1 Barbara Crescent.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Name and address,
So,
please.
Yeah, 1 Barbara Crescent. Name is Chris Manchopoulos. We've been basically in this neighborhood for 60 years, and just feel the development is that in question is out of character for the area. And I think the least that could happen would be like a 60-day deferral, so there could be some more conversation with the present owner and the area resident. So I'm going to be short and sweet, and that's about all I have to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 16 Ralston Avenue.
I had a good morning here, but I guess it's more like afternoon, I suppose now.
Oh,
Good afternoon,
not quite
Mr.
yet, sir. We've got 10 minutes to
We're
go.
not there yet, are we?
Your name and address, please.
Angelo Giannopoulos, 16 Ralston Avenue. So, good morning, Mr. Chair and the members of the committee. I live across the street from the proposed development at 7 Taylor Drive. Well, I'm not an abutting neighbor. I, like many residents, are directly impacted by the variances being requested. Today, I would like to focus on two key concerns: parking and traffic impacts for all residents and the broader safety implications for our community. First, regarding the parking, the City of Toronto's zoning bylaw, 569-2013, requires that new multi-unit residential developments provide one parking space per unit, unless a variance is explicitly requested. As it stands, the proposed fourplex at 7 Taylor Drive does not meet these minimum parking requirements. From the material submitted, no explicit parking variance has been requested, yet the plans show a garage that is clearly too small to accommodate 4 separate vehicles. And I say 4 at a minimum because there are 4 units proposed. Without a proper parking solution, including the application, it appears that the applicant and the planner are attempting to piggyback a critical parking deficiency onto unrelated variances without properly disclosing or seeking approval for a parking reduction. Currently, there is no parking allowed for the full stretch and length in front of the park, which is directly across from the subject property. This was obviously done to ensure road safety due to the streets that intersect onto Taylor Drive. In the case of, for example, making left turns or right turns, that's the reason there's no parking in front of the park. This is deeply concerning. The zoning bylaw does not permit such an oversight, and it's not a minor technicality. It is a substantive issue that directly affects surrounding residents. On a practical level, the garage size cannot reasonably support 4 vehicles, and no off-site parking solution has been provided. This will result in significant overflow of cars onto Taylor Drive, Ralston Avenue, and adjacent streets, all of which already face tight parking restraints, especially during events at Colin Bryant Park. A previous speaker already addressed the issue in the winter and snow removal, so I won't go into that further, but it's obviously heightened in winter months. Without question, parking in this neighborhood is already at a premium, and further strain will only create frustration, safety issues, and conflict among residents. My next topic is on the issue of traffic and safety. Traffic, of course, related to the parking situation. More units mean more residents, and more residents mean more vehicle trips, including delivery, service vehicles, visitors, and daily commuting. Taylor Drive and nearby streets are already heavily trafficked by pedestrians, including seniors, children, and families accessing Colin Bryant Park, which is immediately across from the subject property. The proposed intensification of the small lot without insufficient parking will result in increased street congestion, heightened traffic movement, and greater risk of vulnerable pedestrians who frequent this area. Adding multiple households with clear regard for traffic management is not only short-sighted, but is also fundamentally undermines the safety and walkability of our neighborhood. Finally, I respectfully submit that the applicants failed to clearly address these basic critical issues of parking, traffic, and community safety, demonstrate that this proposal in its current form is not rooted in good planning principles or in consideration of the neighborhood's best interests. I just want to add that Colin Bryant Park across the road from the subject property is also a gateway to the overall nature trail system and bike path, which is used by a lot of people. That's why this park is visited and frequented quite often. People park for 3 hours at a time while they unload their bikes and go down into the ravine system. In final, and it's a small paragraph, I am also requesting a 60-day deferral, or in the alternative, at minimum, a 30-day deferral to allow the community to equitably engage with the applicant and the planner to address these concerns in good faith. In good faith. We are not opposing development for the sake of opposing it. We are asking for reasonable time and respectful engagement to ensure that any new build fits the character, needs, and safety of the community we all share. A rushed approval.
Okay, sir,
does not
sir, I'm just going to cut you off. You've exceeded your time, so thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 35 Taylor Drive.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Name and address, please.
Yes, Bios Texas 35 Taylor Drive.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Bios Texas, and I live at 35 Taylor Drive, just down the street from 7 Taylor Drive. I'm speaking today to express serious concerns about the social impacts that this development would have on our community, and to respectfully request a deferral of 60 days. Firstly, the applicant here is registered as a corporate entity, 2037471 Ontario Inc., and it is clear the proposed fourplex is intended as an income property, not an owner-occupied home. Absentee ownership, particularly by a numbered company, often leads to lower maintenance standards, delayed snow removal and yard care, unresponsive property management, overall decreased community engagement. When properties are operated purely as rentals with no owner living on site, turnover tends to be frequent. I believe short or medium-term tenants contribute far less to neighborhood cohesion, leading to instability and a loss of the strong community fabric that currently defines Taylor Drive and the surrounding streets. Now, beyond the social impacts, the proposed density will naturally increase the vehicle trips. Taylor Drive already sees considerable pedestrian activity, particularly around Colin Park, which is directly across the street. Many children and seniors and families use these sidewalks daily. More traffic, particularly from a higher density rental building, raises, I think, significant safety concerns for our most vulnerable neighbors. It's important for the committee to also understand, the broader history here of 7 Taylor. For 5 long years, this property sat really burnt out, broken down, and structurally unsound and overgrown. We've had to kind of, watch this for the last 5 years, following the tragic fire in 2020 that claimed the life of a neighbor. In that time, neither the previous out-of-country owner nor the current corporate
I
applicant.
apologize. I'm just going to interrupt you. You're raising a number of concerns, which I think many of your colleagues and neighbors have already raised. You're located several houses down. Is there any impact of this proposal on you directly?
Look, in the effort to not repeat, a lot of the concerns that my fellow members have mentioned are all points that I would echo as well. But my understanding is the structure here is 5 minutes, so I want to touch on things that I believe are important. So I'd like to kind of get back to my 5 minutes if I can.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So, point here, where are we now? Okay. Sorry, let me have a look here, 1 second. Okay. So just get back to what I was saying about the absenteeism. The residents here have had to live daily with this property, attracting rats and mice and raccoons. Why do I know that? Because I walk the street daily, right? And it's, I think, a significant health hazard. And a constant painful visual reminder of the tragedy and the profound blight on our community. Only once it became financially expedient did the ownership transfer to a current numbered company. Okay, now this same absentee approach appears to be continuing with the applicant seeking variances to fast-track a multi-unit rental project that has no precedent anywhere on Taylor Drive, Ralston Avenue, Coxwell Boulevard, or Barbara Crescent. So I'm speaking on the business of this. We must respectfully submit that this demonstrates poor land stewardship, a lack of good faith, and a proposal not rooted in improving the community, but rather in extracting value at the community's direct expense. Furthermore, despite understanding the sensitivity of the site and the need for community dialogue, the applicant made no proactive effort to consult with neighbors about a development that fundamentally alters the neighborhood's form and character. This lack of engagement runs counter to the city official plan, which prioritizes stability, community fit, and meaningful consultation. For these reasons, I go back again on how I started, that we request 60-day deferral. Because religious holidays in April, federal elections, tax seasons absolutely absorb this.
Thank you.
We simply ask for time to engage with the applicant in good faith and to explore modifications that could better address the serious concerns we all collectively hold.
Okay, sir, thank you very much. I'm just going to cut you off. I'm sorry, I'm just going to cut you off there, sir. I think we got the gist of your comments. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll now hear from the owner at 6 Ralston Avenue.
Good morning. Well, it's actually good afternoon, sir. Adele Marcos?
Hi, Adele Marcos. You have been unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, it's Adele Marcos of 6 Ralston. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to waste your time because basically I just agree with all the points that have been put through. And regarding the garbage, the traffic, I mean, especially on Ralston, it's a narrow street when the snowbanks are up, there's nowhere for anyone to drive. It's basically a very narrow street. And then again, with this tree, we have no real plan that we were told what was going on with the tree. It's like a old 94 centimeter tree in diameter. And we've never been told in the plans, are they going to cut it? Are they going to protect it? When I built the house in 2007, the city came after me and said, oh, you got to protect the tree. You got to protect the tree. We protected the tree and it's still up and it's still growing. There's nothing wrong with the tree as it stands today. It's a healthy tree on my property. So I want to make sure that the same thing happens at 7 Taylor. So I'm opposed to this build and to the fact that the other people have also said that it was tax season, which is a very busy time for me. And with the election and Easter holiday, I want to defer this for at least 60 days.
All right, sir. Thank you. And we have one more last speaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll hear from the owner at 5 Taylor Drive.
Hello.
Actually, we heard from Hector.
We've already heard from that residence?
That address.
From that address, yeah, we've heard from. But let's unmute Antonia.
Hi, I'm Hector's wife. I'm just following the conversation, and I would like a deferral. I don't know if for 60 days.
Okay.
And agree with everyone in my neighborhood and my community.
Thank you. That concludes our speakers?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. Benkowski.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You've heard a lot of concern. I wonder if you could take a few moments to address what you can.
Yeah, a couple of things, and sir, and Mr. Chair, I hope you'll give me a couple of extra moments, as there was kind of a lot to unpack there. In terms of the deferral and neighborhood engagement, I had a site meeting with the adjacent neighbor at number 5, who, with my understanding, was kind of the one that was leading the discussions. We had a site meeting and numerous telephone conversations. There was never a suggestion of any alteration to the variances that would appease them. As you can hear, I think the ideas of traffic, garbage, and it just being a 4-unit building is the crux of the objections of the neighbors. So in my numerous conversations, as well as a site meeting where we did walk a little bit of the neighborhood together and talk, there was never a suggestion of an alteration of a variance to work together. So a 60-day deferral, in my opinion, really wouldn't accomplish much, as again, we did we did undergo some meaningful conversations. It just didn't lead to any requests for any alterations. I want to really stick to the 3 variances that are before you because, to be honest, I didn't hear much actual objection to the variances itself and how this would negatively impact the neighborhood and the streetscape. So before you, we have 3 variances: an increase in coverage, an increase in the dormer width, and a reduction to a side yard setback. Could we please go back to my support material, slide number 2? Yes, the next one down, please. So again, to speak to Hector at number 5, he spoke to a loss of natural airflow between the 2 dwellings. The proposal mimics the existing 0.9 meter side yard setback that is there today. So in terms of how the building addresses the streetscape and the open space between the adjacent house at 5 and the adjacent house at number 9, as you can see from the blue overlay, it is identical to what is there today. There is absolutely no reduction in that open space between the dwellings. Further to that, the overall height that is being proposed is as per the zoning bylaw. If we could go down to the next slide, which has again my dormer width, the request for the increase in the dormer width is only for the yellow portions. If those yellow portions were to be removed, that would not be a variance, and this would be zoning bylaw compliant. There was also some discussion, if we could bring up the floor plans, please, if we could bring up the second floor. It's not in my support material. I think we'd have to go to the actual floor plans itself. Oh yes, there it is actually. If we could go to the second floor. There was some discussion about a loss of privacy and overlook with the windows. If we could just zoom in at the rear portion. The 2 windows that are located on the rear portion on the west side are in the stair tower itself. So if we look there, that window there is repeated on the 2nd and the 3rd floor and is located in the stair tower, is not located in an occupiable room. Further to that, the second window is again located in a bedroom, and it is that bedroom that has the proposed balcony that is, again, a walkout balcony off the bedroom, not off of the livable area. But again, this is not a variance we are requesting. This is permitted. So in terms of privacy and overlook, the only windows that face the rear are the 2 stair tower, the 2 windows in the stair tower, and 2 windows in the bedroom, 1 on the 2nd and 1 in the 3rd. That is also mitigated, if we could go back to my support material, where this dwelling is placed in relation to the adjacent dwellings. As we can see here, even again, with the increase in coverage that is before you today, it is significantly built behind the rear wall of number 9. And is it possible to zoom down a bit so we can see the house on Ralston? Because this is, yes, that's, I don't think well, you can kind of see it here where you see a wood deck. Adjacent to that wood deck on Ralston on the bottom of the screen is actually the rear wall of the dwelling. So the actual privacy and overlook from that dwelling is greater into this rear yard than it would be in this rear yard into the Ralston house itself. All of the living spaces front Taylor and essentially front the park. One of the neighbors spoke of the amount of people that come to this neighborhood to use Bryant Park for the ravine system of a bike trail. That only furthers the desirability for this to be a multi-unit dwelling where you can get into the city's bike network and you can have access to downtown from the front door. I am going to address the tree. That's the last thing I'm going to address.
Okay, John, I'll give you an extra minute, okay?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. There's two things I want to address. One is the parking. One is the new Ontario regulation. If this were to be a 3-unit dwelling, it would be permitted to be 45% with a larger mass. Again, a larger mass than what is being proposed. We could go to 17 meters at 45%. The only alteration that would have to change to what you see is a reduction of 0.3 meters at the garage. I don't believe the intent and purpose of the O-Reg was to limit people at the 45% for 4 units. That was a province-wide regulation. Again, my understanding is the city will catch up. We're not there yet. So the actual impact of a zoning bylaw compliant 3-unit dwelling would be greater in area as well as mass. Lastly, the tree. I'm okay with the conditional forestry. I was going to ask the moderator to bring it up. Again, the intention is not to remove the tree. We are happy to, I believe it's the other report, the actual one. Yes, that one. Perfect. We don't have an issue with doing the sensitive construction technique like helical piers for the proposed deck. Again, I'm not an arborist. If forestry wanted to recommend denial of this application, as you are aware, Mr. Chair, and the rest of the committee, they often do that. So again, we are happy with the forestry condition. If this is meritorious, I'm happy to answer any question.
Thank you. Panel, any questions? Dylan?
Yeah, a few questions. So several people were concerned about waste management. Could you just address that?
Yeah, if we go to the site plan or the floor plan, so the idea would be twofold. Some would be the storage of the waste in the garage itself, and some would be conventionally how everybody else stores it at the side of the building. Again, the desirability of having the waste stored at the front is simply not there. There will be walkways on the sides to accommodate access to the rear, so the waste could be a combination of within the garage itself as well as the side of the dwelling, much like everybody does.
Okay, thanks. So another issue often brought up was parking. So can you confirm that, in fact, I believe the fourplex laws don't require any parking at all? Is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, D. Reed, again, only is parking required when you're considered an apartment building. That's triggered above 4 units. And in fact, even as an apartment building over 4 units, the only requirement would be for accessible and visitor. Citywide on residential properties, there is no requirement for actual resident parking. It's only visitor and accessible space.
Right, so the fact that you're providing 1 parking spot is actually above and beyond what's required by the city, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, D. Reed, correct. In addition, you could probably fit another 2 cars in a combination of the boulevard and the driveway itself too.
Right. Speaking of parking, can you also speak to transit access in the area?
Yes, and that was part of what I was going to get into. About a 4-minute walk away is the Broadview 8 bus that does offer service until 1 a.m. with bike racks as well as accessible. So again, about a 4-minute walk away is the Broadview 8 bus.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. Let's take this into committee. Who wants to start us off? Zahir?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Notwithstanding all the comments that were made by concerned neighbors in the area, what I was going to focus on is the fact that we've got 3 variances in front of us, and that's it. And the impacts that I've heard about, I don't believe any of the impacts are so significant that that mitigates against this particular project. There are only 3 variances, and when you look at them, they actually are quite minor. Looking down at Google Map, and you're looking at the variety of the homes in that area, there's very substantial properties have been developed. Number 5, which is an immediate neighbor, is also fairly substantial, a brand new build. So I do not see a problem with this particular application. In terms of the project itself, I note also that they're all 3-bedroom units, which are family friendly. I think that mitigates on the positive side for this particular project. So I don't have any difficulty in supporting this application.
Okay, thank you. Dylan?
Yeah, so I wanted to speak to a few things. First of all, the request for deferral. I was actually very impressed by the community's organization and knowledge of the planning questions and stuff like that. To be honest, I don't think that they need a deferral. I think they did a very good job of addressing their concerns and specifying them. So I don't really see the need for a deferral, and as the applicant pointed out, I don't really see any possible changes to the variances that could really address the community concerns. So I don't think that a deferral is useful at this point in time. Secondly, I want to point out that this really fits exactly with what the city is trying to do. The city wants to introduce a wider variety of housing to neighborhoods, wants to create additional rental units, wants to create more units within neighborhoods. So this is actually very much in line with what the city is trying to seek. And then when we look at the specific, and then in terms of the tree, I think that the neighbors can be confident that forestry is clearly paying a lot of attention to this. The applicant cannot get the permission from forestry unless it satisfies their concerns. So I'm confident that the forestry will make sure that that tree is protected and survives. In terms of the actual variances, as my colleagues here pointed out, they're really minor. I thought it was very thoughtful of the applicant to basically, the only side yard setback is basically what's existing. Admittedly, there'll be an extra 2 stories of that, but it's not really that significant at all. The dormers is not significant at all. In fact, I think it's to the applicant's credit that the 3rd story is set back a little bit through a sloped roof to minimize the impact on the streetscape. So the applicants actually thought this through quite carefully in terms of minimizing the impact. The actual increase in size is minimal, and it's really worth pointing out that both the length and the height are both within the zoning bylaw. So these are almost entirely permitted as of right building. So really, although it's obviously a considerable change for the neighborhood, this is very much in line with what the city allows and what the city is encouraging. And so I would definitely support this.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. I just also noticed across from a park, which provides significant amenity space for additional residents in this neighborhood. All right. Who wants to do a motion?
I'm happy to.
Okay, Dylan, you want to go ahead?
Wait, for the reasons I've expressed and my colleagues are here has expressed, I move that we approve this these variances with forestry condition number 2.
Okay. Motion to approve by Mr. Reed with that condition. I have a seconder, Mr. Byatt. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. McKay opposes. That motion carries. The application is approved. Thank you. Okay, we move on to item number 10, 44 Newman Avenue. This is an application to alter the existing 1-story ancillary building, which is a one-car garage with storage by constructing a complete 2nd-story addition to contain 1 garden suite. There will be a total of 2 dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before it a copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. An arborist report. We have staff report from Urban Forestry and correspondence and concern from 31 Eastdale.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online as well as 1 registered speaker.
Okay. Good afternoon. Mr. Ramirez.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. Thank you for this time to bring forth these variances. My name is John Bears. I'm located at 371 Strawberry Crescent, Waterloo, Ontario. I have a presentation if you want me to go into
I think
detail.
we're going to need, we have someone who wants to speak to this item, so we're going to need a short presentation, please.
Sure, not a problem. I'll go through it. So if we can go to the next slide. So we're proposing 6 variances. 1 is due to the size, the floor space area. 2 to 5 is due to the setback, and number 6 is due to the soft landscaping. Can we go to the next slide? So we're not proposing any new footprint, as you can see here in the site plan. We're dealing with an existing garage and an existing main house. The main house is being untouched. The variances that we're applying, the first variance is for a floor space area of 60 square meters, or 60 square meters point 11 square, sorry, 60.11 square meters is what we're proposing. So we're slightly over by 0.11 square meters. This application is to support the city's agenda to increase housing, and we're making an efficient use of the existing structure without any demolition or any significant site alteration. Next slide, please. So the other variance number 2, because they're existing buildings, we don't comply with the building separation. Our proposal is for 4.6 meters. Again, we're under by 0.4 meters, which is pretty minor. Again, we have a lot of clearance for emergency access or maintenance. Again, we're using the existing structure, which makes good use of the lot. Next slide, please. So on the rear side, we're proposing 1.44 meters. The minimum is 1.5. The adjacent property is a rear lot as well. So from our building to the next building at 31 East Dale, I think the street is called, is quite far. So looking over to the neighbor's property is the impact is minimal. Next slide, please. This is maybe the smallest setback that we're proposing. We're proposing 0.42 meters. And again, we're dealing with an existing structure. Again, we don't want to redesign or demolish an existing structure that's been here for many years. We want to keep the same footprint. So this is a variance that we require. It's still, there's one small window in the bathroom, which is high up, which again is not used won't be something that would be used to look outside just to bring in natural light. We could alter that window and move it to a skylight if possible, if that's a concern. We still meet the fire separation and building codes standards. Next slide, please. And so this is the front yard setback. It is a corner lot, but as you can see here, the property line is not straight. The line facing the street is pretty curved. So the smallest setback we're proposing is 1.17 meters, but it does get bigger towards the other side of the garage and we're proposing a 2.37 meter setback. The 6 meter setback is aimed to protect streetscapes and visibility, not just building separation, but in this case, there is no visible obstruction or safety hazards at this corner. Again, the garden suite maintains a residential character and does not dominate the streetscape. Can we go to the next slide? So because it's all existing, the soft landscape is fairly low. We spoke to the homeowner about adding some more soft landscape, and they did propose 143 square feet of soft landscaping. That would add 13.28 square meters. It's that that green shaded area that you see behind the main house. That would bring our variance from 11.58% to 20.83%. We hope that would satisfy any concerns regarding soft landscape.
Sorry, sir. So let's just be clear. So you're proposing to amend variance number 6 to 20?
Yes.
Sorry, say again the percentage?
20.83%.
How many square meters would that be?
13 point, oh, sorry, it would be, I had it calculated here. 1 second, please. 16. That would be 29.91 square meters.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a speaker on this item?
Hello, Ron, or good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Ron Glosman, and I'm the property owner and resident at 31 Eastdale Avenue. And my property is directly adjacent to the proposal and probably the most impacted by the proposal. So I did provide some documents and some pictures as well, and I plan to read and reference the documentation provided. So, dear Chair of the board, dear Chair and members of the Planning Committee, I'm the owner of the property at 31 Eastdale Avenue, identified as plot 1910 on the site plan. My residence directly abuts the western lot line of the property currently under review, and we share a fence along that boundary. I'm writing to express my concerns regarding the structure, particularly in relation to privacy, sightlines, and the potential use of the new structure as a short-term rental. I'll address each of those now in order. Regarding privacy and overlooking concerns, the proposed structure will exceed the existing fence height and create direct lines of sight into my backyard, my kitchen, my living room, and depending on the building height, a bedroom. As the building is located only 1.44 meters from the property line, the potential for overlook is significant. Respectfully, I request that the city imposes a condition prohibiting the placement of any windows on the western-facing facade of the proposed structure to allow me to maintain my privacy and protect from any sightlines. Alternatively, I request that a privacy fence of sufficient height be erected along the western boundary to mitigate sightlines, and the construction shall be done at the applicant's expense. Second of all, I'm also concerned about the possible use of the new structure as a short-term rental. There's already a short-term rental operating 2 doors down at 27 Eastdale Avenue, which has been a significant source of late-night noise and disturbances affecting the peaceful enjoyment of my home. The introduction of another short-term rental would exacerbate these issues. And if you could just pull up the pictures. So this is my current sight line from my backyard. You can see the roof of the garage there is already in line with the fence. The minute they construct a second story, they're going to be looking into my living area, my kitchen, and my backyard where I spend time with my family. I barbecue, and I'm in the process of starting a family with a young one. So they're going to be playing out there, and it's of concern to me that they can see them. You can also see that there are some trees, several trees there. I did not mention those, but I believe they should be protected, and that any construction that is done should leave those trees there, as they provide some privacy and sight lines during the seasons when the leaves are there and blooming. And if you scroll down to the second picture, you'll see just how close this building is. That's about 1.44 meters as mentioned, and you can see there the height of the fence against the height of the house. So as mentioned, I would request that if they do build this house, no windows be built facing westward towards my house to allow me to maintain my privacy. And if they do, that they build a privacy screen or a fence at their expense sufficiently high that they no longer have sight lines into my, as I mentioned, kitchen, bedroom, living room, and one bedroom. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, sir. All right, can we get the agent back?
Thank you. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Mr. Ramirez. You want to address what you've heard?
Yeah, sure. Can we just go to the floor plans to show the window that would be facing the neighbor? They just go down to I think it's A4 or A2, actually. A2 might be the floor plan. Oh, right there. Oh, go back. The next one down. The next one.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. So if you can see by the stairwell, that's the wall. That's the stairwell wall is facing the neighbor, and you can see there's one window there. That's just a window to bring some natural light. It's not where they're going to be living or sitting all day. It's just a walkway, pretty much. However, I spoke to the homeowner, and he did say we can either lift that window up so that it's not something they can look out. They just wanted some natural light, or we can propose a skylight so that there's no overlook onto the neighbor's property. I would also remind the committee members and the neighbor that we are asking for a minor variance. This is very minor. We're at 1.44 meters and the minimum is 1.5. So it's very minimal. If I were to push out, again, we're working with an existing building, so we can't really relocate that wall. But if it's going to help the neighbor, we'll definitely relocate that window. In regards to the fence line, their property is much higher than ours. To build another fence on top of the existing fence, I think won't comply with the fence bylaws. And that would be something that the neighbors will have to discuss because there is, I guess there's some finance that would have to be discussed in regards to how much it would cost and when they can build it. I think that was most of the concerns he had. I'm not too sure if I addressed it all. If there's something else I need to clarify, I'll be happy to.
Great. Thank you. Dylan.
Yeah, would you be okay with a condition that the west-facing and south-facing windows need to be frosted? That would, I think, address the privacy concerns.
Yes, that would actually work well.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. Zahir?
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad to see that the variance number 6 has been increased. However, when I look at Google image of the property, between the house and the existing garage, there's a pretty substantial area of asphalt. Now, notwithstanding the fact that you have increased the soft landscaping to 20%, I'm just wondering why you couldn't extend that a little bit more so that you'd still have your driveway that would be paved, but the asphalt to the between the house and the garage could not be increased more than the 20%. I do find the 20% still a bit on the low side.
Yeah, again, this property and the hardscape has been, most of that concrete that you see there is on the city side. So we wouldn't be able to touch, if you're looking at the Google image, like a lot of that area there is the city's property. Because we're only the closest property line to the garage is 1.17 meters. So pretty much in line with the house, and that's where we propose a new garden to add more flowers and new soft landscaping. To try to, we would have to get permission from the city to change what's been there for many years. And I wouldn't be able to give you that answer today. I would have to get that from the city to see if we're allowed to even remove this concrete.
So if I may, the proposed landscaping, additional landscaping that you're talking about, would that bring the landscaping up to the edge of the house in this image?
It's to the edge of the house. It's, if you want to go back to the slide where I shaded it in gray, you'll see there's, we did a planter about 5 feet. It's about 5 feet wide and 22 feet long. It's on my presentation. Yeah, right there. Go back. Yeah. So it's the entire width of the house.
I see.
So it's that green area. And as you can see, the property line is fairly close. So we wouldn't be able to extend it any further.
The property line, the city property begins where you've got that bold dashed black line?
Yes, that's correct.
Is it possible to just increase the landscaping a little bit beyond the house to that point?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
I think there's been a slight misunderstanding. The property line is the solid line, not the dashed one, right?
It's where it says registered.
Yeah.
That line, right? That line is the property line.
Okay.
So you can see the green shaded area is fairly close to the property line.
Got it.
Already.
So there's a little bit that's not being proposed. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? No. Let's go into committee. Peter?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a good application. I did have concerns about this soft landscaping, but that's been improved, I think, in a meaningful way. And I do get the concerns of the neighbor with the overlook, but I think Dylan's suggestion of the frosted glass is a very good one for that. I think adding this additional unit on this corner property is a good fit. So I'm going to move approval of the application as amended. That's with variant 6 being improved, with the condition of urban forestry condition 2, and the condition that the windows on the south and west side be frosted.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed with those conditions, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? You have your approval with those conditions, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, we move on to item number 11. 252 Annette. This is an application to construct a complete third story with rear landings and stairs to contain 2 additional residential dwelling units within this existing 4-plex dwelling. There'll be a total of 6 residential dwelling units on this lot. Committee has before a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Previous decision affecting the subject property. 5 photographs and details of comparable development projects submitted by the agent. Email correspondence from Transportation Services, correspondence and support from 352 Quebec, and correspondence in opposition from 250 Annette and 411 Clendenin.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the agent is here in person. We also have 2 registered speakers in opposition.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Valentin. I am the agent for this project, and with me is the owner of the property.
All right.
We have actually 4 variances that would like to ask approval, but the last 2 we already complied, because when we submit to the committee our revised drawings of the site plan, it shows already that we have a storage for the bicycle and the garbage.
So are you removing variances 3 and 4?
Yes.
All right.
We'll comply with that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we now remains with 2.
All right, you have 1 and 2. Go ahead.
The first one, we cannot comply because the attic is sitting on an existing structure. So it is impossible to comply.
Okay.
Because we are developing the attic. The second one is the square footage or square meters. That we are over the actually allowable 0.6 to 1.4.
Has this dwelling already been, has the construction already been completed?
The 4-plex.
The 4-plex, but the additional 2 units hasn't been undertaken, so that's to be done.
That's the one we're applying for.
All right. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to say, sir?
No.
Okay. Panel, any questions? Dylan?
I just wanted to clarify, so the waste and the bike storage, is that because you're building a shed at the back that's going to be fully enclosed?
Yes.
Okay, and that's going to take care of both the waste and the bike storage?
That's right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you very much, sir. Sorry, ma'am, did you have something to add?
Yes.
You have to turn your mic on.
No.
No? Okay. All right, we can have our first speaker. Oh. If you guys want to just go back, if you guys want to go back and sit in the back for the time being, sir? You just want to, move and go back and sit in the gallery.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Greg Hermondane. I represent the ownership group at 411 Clendenin, which is owned by entity 411 Clendenin Inc., and also owners of 250 Annette also. Our objection isn't so much related to what may be done or what may be constructed. I think the overall plan is a good one. We have a concern with respect to safety due to the nature of the adjacent neighbors, which we are, which is primarily a school. There is a school with, Montessori school with quite a number of children, and this driveway that is shared as a right-of-way, 411 Clendenin owns the driveway, but 252 Annette has a right-of-way. Specifically, we want to request that there be an acknowledgement or some kind of condition that the right-of-way is adhered to and respected. During construction, there's quite a number of times that there's obstructions with respect to vehicles and equipment and material that poses a safety concern for us and a matter of respect. And while the owners might not be able to manage it on a daily basis, we also don't have the time to continually reply back and try to manage their trades or any of the obstructions that might occur, because we do have a responsibility to our tenant. When the tenant expresses a concern or a complaint, we have to address that. So there's one point about that right-of-way that we also want to emphasize is in any kind of construction, if it's happening this way, if they're going to go to a sixplex from the fourplex, that they be clear there is no parking that you could technically possibly, unless it's a very, very, very small car, which I don't think they make in these days and times in that kind of configuration. The actual measurements between the right-of-way and where the right-of-way ends does not allow for any parking in the back. And we've heard today about the importance of softscape. We want to ensure that the back is also maintained as a softscape space. That eliminates any kind of confusion as to whether or not there is parking allowed in the back. Historically, we've seen that as an issue with other neighbors. We're not assuming that that's the case here right now, but we have some concerns, and would like to make sure that that is some kind of a condition when it comes time for this variance to be approved. And we will formally apologize if we've misunderstood the state of affairs with respect to the current construction. It seems that the construction is complete and everything has been done. We may have misunderstood it, but we want to make sure that there is no construction taking place without the prior approval of committee adjustment over and above what's been approved in permits. There has been a pattern of behavior that the ownership group has concern about, where in the past things have been done without permits and with great safety implications for both trades and neighbors. And we just want to express that concern and make sure that doesn't continue moving forward. Overall, increasing, and as we've seen today, the living capability and capacity is a welcome component for us. We don't have any particular objections to that, but we do have concerns around also any kind of use for short-term rentals. We don't think it's appropriate for the neighborhood in light of the fact that there's also a considerable number of daycare students and daytime students in the area adjacent to the east and to the south, to the north of 252 Annette.
Okay, thank you, sir. A couple points on your, first of all, this committee, as you can probably appreciate, has no jurisdiction over right-of-way. So, I mean, that's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with going forward. And if there are violations, then you probably know the appropriate process to register those concerns. There, from what we can tell from the site plan, there is no parking shown on the site plan. So, for all intents and purposes, there's no parking variance before us. So that doesn't appear to be an issue. There is no, I did ask the applicant whether it's underway or is to be done. They indicated that work has not yet been done. There is no order to comply or stop work order on this application, so we can only assume that the work is being proposed is going to be done, hasn't already been concluded. So we will, confirm that with the agent when they come back, but from our perspective, a lot of things you've raised are kind of beyond our jurisdiction here today. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else speaking on this item?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do have someone online.
Just hang on a sec, guys. All right.
Kabir Bag, you have been muted.
So I mean, I had complaints about the lane.
Sorry, sir. Sorry for interrupting. If I could have your name and address, please.
Oh, Kabir Bag and 411 Clendenin Avenue.
Okay, so are you involved with the previous speaker?
You've addressed the issues already, and as you're saying that the laneway is not yours, and I was under the impression that this whole structure was built because it looks like it's completely built. So those are my two concerns.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, folks, now if you want to come back.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to, just sit down and speak into the microphone, please.
Well, we would like to assure the neighbor that there is no parking on the property. We have only provided for bicycle rack, and that's it.
Okay. And you've heard them raise concerns about, construction activity in the right-of-way. I'm sure you're going to avoid that.
Well, we will try to monitor it more often, because sometimes we are not there, and sometimes contractors usually deliver materials and use the right-of-way.
Yeah, so you do the best you can, but you'll appreciate that your neighbor, if there is violations, they may pursue some action on that.
Yes, of course. Yes,
okay.
We agree.
All right, panel, any questions of the applicants? All right, thank you very much. Let's go into committee. Gary, what do you think?
I think it's a supportable application. Variances 3 and 4 are dealt with. So it just leaves us with the landscape strip, which we can't have. The density is up, but I think I could support the application.
Okay, anyone else? Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, essentially it's semi-detached triplexes. I mean, I think because of zoning, it has to be considered an apartment, but really it's a pair of semi-detached triplexes, which is completely something that, the city is already encouraging. So I think it's very supportive.
All right, good. Look for someone to do a motion. Gary?
All right, I'll move that we approve the minor variance applications 1 and 2, or as amended, and I see no urban forestry conditions, so without condition.
Okay, motion to approve the amended application by Mr. McKay, seconded by Mr. Reed. All in favor? You here? Yep, okay. You have your approval, sir. Thank you very much. All right, move on to item number 12. 555 Davenport Road. This is an application to alter the development standards of the new 10-story mixed-use building as approved under site-specific zoning bylaw 739-2023 by increasing the height of 30.5 meters to 37 meters and the number of stories from 8 till 10 and from 7 to 9 along Davenport Road, the gross floor area for residential and non-residential uses, and the encroachment of balconies to reduce the setbacks and separation distances and permit retail use. There'll be a total of 168 residential dwelling units instead of 143. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, planning rationale, arborist report, pedestrian level wind study addendum, a stormwater management report, transportation noise and vibration addendum letter, presentation materials from the agent, site-specific zoning bylaw for the subject property. We have staff report from community planning, correspondence and opposition, from 242 Walmer Road.
Chair, I'll be recusing myself.
This is the item that Zahir had in.
Zahir, you are going to be turning off your computer?
Right.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person, no registered speakers for this item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bronskill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am suspicious that if I'm here in person, Mr. Byatt is on video and has excused himself, that somehow this is a polka dot door situation.
I can assure you that he does not dislike you.
Much. We may be the same person, Mr. Chair. Last name's Bronskill, first initial D for David, here as agent for the applicant, 333 Bay Street, Suite 3400. I also have client representatives here, Mr. Chair, as well, should we have any questions that need to be answered.
Great, thank you. We did have an opposition letter, but they're not speaking today. David, maybe just, again, these top-ups are just a little bit complicated. Maybe just a quick overview.
I can, Mr. Chair, and I'm actually happy to go through this presentation because we, in particular, the client and Bousfields put a lot of effort into the presentation. You may recall a similar application, and if staff could just go to the next page, just to the south that I was here in front of you for as well, at McPherson and Kendall. They're sort of sister buildings, and we went through a similar exercise with you in that presentation, sort of to indicate a rationale for the additional height, some additional sculpting in the building, what we actually think are improvements for sun shadow, and in fact improvements to the overall building. And for this one as well, there's opportunity for retail at grade that city planning have asked for. And you'll note in the condition recommended by city planning staff as part of their support, we're actually increasing the amount of amenity space too. And so overall, I think it's an improvement. But Mr. Chair, I'll quickly go through that presentation. On the next, you can see there just at the intersection there in terms of where it's located at the southeast corner. Next page in terms of the approval history. There have been a few different items here that have happened since that initial approval. There's also in particular one that applies to this site that did not apply to the sister building to the south, and it happened in February. There's in fact a new official plan amendment, and just in terms of the next page, you'll see it, where Davenport is now part of the avenues on map 2 urban structure for the city, where it wasn't before as part of the previous approval. That avenues overlay does not go as far south for the other building, which is why it's different for this site than it was with the building that I was here before last time seeking similar variances. As a note on the previous page, what's also important for this one is the new mid-rise guidelines that have come into force and effect since from council to apply. And what we've done through, if staff can just go to the next page as well, we track sort of through the current massing, the mid-rise massing, and then the various adjustments that have been made. And sorry, staff, one more page would be great, thank you. So that's the current massing under the site-specific bylaw. I'll just flag something for you here, Mr. Chair. In the letter from 242 Walmart, there's a concern, as there was last time, about the laneway being too narrow. It's 5.5 today. We're widening it to 6, and you'll see 1.5 meters setback there. So it's in fact from the public lane itself will meet city standards at 6 meters, but there's an additional 1.5 meters setback there per the bylaw that we're maintaining. So the laneway, I don't think is too narrow. It might be today, but it'll in fact be improved through this application. The next page shows what the new mid-rise guidelines would entail in terms of that blue. That's additional massing under the new mid-rise guidelines. What we're doing, and the next page, if you don't mind, in this section, we're actually taking away some of that massing. That's being shown in red. You can see there's a 12.5 meter setback that we would be implementing to the property line. The next page then with staff shows how the massing gets added. And in fact, that results, as we'll show you on a 3D, actual better sunlight penetration, because you can see under the red there, we would be clipping more and having more shadows under that mid-rise guidelines than we are through this massing. We then do this in 3D, and I'll just ask staff maybe quickly to flip with me through the 3D. That's the current massing per the zoning bylaw. The next page then shows, again in blue, the additional massing per the mid-rise guidelines. We then take that into a white box on the next page so you can see it. We then, this is my favorite slide, the next one, this is sort of the Jenga exercise where we pull off that massing in red so you can see how the site's actually opened up. And then the last one, the next page, then the green that gets added up on top. And so you can see, in fact, how it is opened up. There is a courtyard. You'll recall there's a seniors facility sort of to the southeast. And so part of this is designed to get better sunlight into all of the adjacent uses, including those townhouses to the east. The rest of the presentation, Mr. Chair, is very technical. It walks through the different variances. I'm happy to go through them with you. But overall, I would just suggest to the committee, this is one of those shovel-ready projects. Client wants to do rental. It is an improvement, we think, in terms of, although there is additional height, the sun shadow is improved over what the mid-rise guidelines would suggest. The retail is important. The increased amenity space is important. Staffer and support. It's a good project. We believe that would allow some much-needed rental housing to proceed. And overall, the variances, we believe, meet the 4 tests. You also have the Bousfields letter among the materials so that you've got a planning opinion in support of it. And finally, you do have the city staff report in support with the recommended condition that we support.
Great, thank you. This is purpose-built rental, did you say?
It's supposed to be purpose-built rental, yes.
Okay. All right, any questions? You did a pretty good job that you've actually silenced the panel. It's quite amazing. This is, as you mentioned, this is a sister to a similar project that we dealt with.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mr. Chair, full disclosure, I say it's a sister building, same clients, redeveloped it through 2 rezoning applications, similar approach to the new mid-rise guidelines. I don't want to mislead you in terms of it is the same client, both rental projects, and a similar approach now being taken through these variance applications.
Yeah, and you've done it, someone's done a good job because last time I called, there was more opposition.
There was. And we did, Mr. Chair, I shouldn't say we, the client did reach out to the Residents Association. We did get an email response back. I will not characterize them as supporting it, but I will indicate that they indicated to us that they did not intend to object, and obviously they're not here.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, I don't think we have any questions. Let's take this in the committee. Someone want to take this one on? Dylan?
I am happy to. I'm sometimes a little skeptical about this kind of thing, but in this case, I think it's very thoughtful and definitely an improvement. I mean, I think I like that there's a bit of massing taken off Kendall, which is great. That really reduces the impact a little bit. The impact on the laneway is being reduced by putting up a bit more height. We really open up space at the ground level, which I think is really important. And I really like that there's more amenity space. We so often see these things attempting to actually reduce the level of amenity. And I really appreciate that the amenity space is actually being added to. So overall, I feel like this has been really well thought out. And I'm definitely happy to support it.
If no one else has any comments, you want to turn that into a motion?
Yeah, sure. I'll move that we approve these variances with the planning condition, which I think is about amenity space.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Reed, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? I don't see, Zahir's presented himself. You have your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, item number 13 was deferred. Item number 14 is 38 BRAEMAR Ave. This is an application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling with a front integral garage, a front second level porch with stairs, and a rear second level deck with stairs. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 6 photographs of trees on the subject property, cover letter from the agent, previous decision affecting the subject property. We have staff reports from Urban Forestry and an advisory report from Metrolinx.
For you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Okay. Good afternoon. Dimitri.
Robert, you have been unmuted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Robert, I have the wrong one. Dimitri. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
I couldn't hear you
your
from
name
it.
and address, please. Hello? We lose him?
Robert Green. I'm principal at CGL Architects, address 156 Avenue Road.
Okay, sir, just hang on a second. You're only seeking one variance and it's FSI for a new build, which is pretty close to as of right. I don't think we need a presentation. Does anyone need a presentation? No, I don't, sir. We don't need a presentation. It's a fairly straightforward application. We've read your material. Is there anything you'd like to share with the panel before we take it into committee for a decision?
Yeah, I will not, based on what you're saying, I won't make my presentation. I just wanted to say that I did communicate with the Assistant Planner of City of Toronto, Holly Batrimus, and she has, quoting her, I reviewed your application a few weeks ago and have no concerns. And the only other thing I wanted to point out was that I saw that Urban Forestry was objecting, and I suggest that there's some confusion there because we have from the previous Committee of Adjustment, it was a condition to have Urban Forestry clearance, and we have that clearance. We have that clearance, and we have a building permit. The clearance was given on February 15th, 2024, so that's still active. As well, the client has paid the fee for the injure permit for the rear yard, which is actually just the demolition of the existing shed. So I'm sort of perplexed why that was even a problem, or why that would even be a condition.
You've got us at a bit of disadvantage. All we have on file is a forestry report recommending condition 1 and 2. We don't have a forestry report recommending refusal.
Okay.
But you want us to check for that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I submitted at the time to Jordan Chow the letter of clearance that we had on February 15th. I'm looking at it now.
No, I think you're good.
We do have a building permit for this project already. We're just going to be going in for a revision to permit.
No.
So,
we're just going to, if we decide to approve your application, we will just impose forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay.
And just to be clear, if you've already met them, then that's,
All right.
I believe we have, and we'll just have to speak to Urban Forestry. To actually just
so if you already have, you'll clear fairly quickly.
Yes.
All right. Let's take this into committee. Who wants this one?
I can take this, Chair.
Thank you, Peter.
We only have the one variance before us, and it's modifying a previous approval, and it's just the density, and I don't have any issue with that. There's no new side or rear yard setbacks, and this really appears to be, fit in with the changing nature of this street. So I'm happy to move approval subject to Urban Forestry 1 and 2.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reid to approve, seconded by Mr. McKay. All in favor? Okay, you have your approval. Thank you. Move on to item number 15, 118 Havlock Street. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a 3-story addition along the south side and rear west walls of the dwelling. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations received April 23rd. Covering letter from the agent, previous decision number affecting the subject property, an arborist report and tree protection plan, arborist memorandum, and a design brief and planning rationale from the agent. We have correspondence from the counselor, received April 23rd. We have staff report from Urban Forestry and Community Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have the agent here in person, and we have speakers in support.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. It's Raj Kahar. I'm the agent for Madison Community Services, and I'm happy to provide thank you so much.
Gonna make you do it again.
I hadn't realized it wasn't on.
No. But you could just restate your name again, please.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, it's Raj Kahar. I'm agent for Madison Community Services. And what we have in front...
Sorry, your colleague is... Introduce your colleague?
Yes, it's Ms. Chema Chongo. She's Executive Director for Madison Community Services. I'm going to be leading the presentation, and I'm going to ask her to make some brief remarks.
Great. Previous application was before this committee and was refused. So I assume you're going to be talking about the difference and what's changed.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
So we, as you've already noted, we had an application in front of the committee that was refused. That application was appealed to the TLAB, And our client worked very hard to modify the application to address the very concerns that were raised by members of the community that were represented by council. I'll tell you, at that TLAP proceeding, the City of Toronto was actually there supporting approval of our prior application. So what we did is we heard from the community and we understood that they felt the building was too big. So we reduced the height of it. So we knocked a story off. The second thing we did was there was a concern about how the building fit in terms of the character of the street. It was more of a modern style. We've brought that style to something that's more traditional, more aligned with the, we'll call it the characteristics of the street itself. Thirdly, by reducing the height of the building, we've by consequence reduced the FSI variance and the magnitude of that variance. There was also a concern raised by one of the adjacent neighbors on the south side about an impact on a tree on their property. So previously, the way the building was designed, it would have, at grade and below, interfered with the tree protection zone for that tree on the south property. What we've done is we've moved the foundation wall in, so it's entirely outside of the tree protection zone. And so by doing that, we've now created a scenario, together with a bunch of other conditions that we're prepared to agree to ensure that that tree is preserved, and we're issued a tree and follow, obviously, the ordinary process of getting a tree protection permit. So what we have then in front of you right now are really just two variances. It's a reduced FSI variance from 0.6 to 1.16, and a main wall height variance from 8.5 to 10.08. There's no overall height variance anymore. The use itself is something that's permitted as of right. It's something that's already occurring on the property. What we're doing is we're expanding that use. Finally, what I would say is we've entered into minutes of settlement and settled with the neighbors, the one that's immediately to the south, the one that's to the immediately north, and two other neighbors that live on the street. We've agreed to ask for these settlement plans, the plans that are in front of you, dated April 22nd, to be approved as a condition to the variances. We've also asked for a number of other conditions. So I'll just list the conditions off. There's a separate document in front of you. The first is that the variances are authorized only in connection with the intended use of the property for mental health supportive housing, medium support. What that condition is about is basically saying the zoning bylaw allows a municipal shelter. We're a form of municipal shelter, and so this narrows that down. Second, which is a very ordinary condition, that the proposed development shall be constructed substantially in accordance with the settlement plans. And third and finally, that the applicant shall file an application to urban forestry for a permit to injure tree number 4 in accordance with the green print report and the minutes of settlement dated April 29th, 2025. And in terms of condition 2, when I say settlement plans, I'm talking about those April 22nd plans that are in front of the committee. So that's the submissions I wanted to make. I know Ms. Chongo had a couple of things she just wanted to say about that.
Sure, go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
Is your microphone on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. As mentioned, my name is Chama Chongo, Executive Director for Madison Community Services. I just wanted to say the goal is what it's always been for Madison, is to provide quality supportive housing for our clients. Many of them are very vulnerable and living with mental health illness. And I also just wanted to say that Madison has been operating at 118 Havlock since 1993 with no issue. So for our clients, that's their home. And we want to continue to do that. And as we all know, Toronto and many areas in the country, there's a housing crisis. So our goal is to just continue to contribute to solutions to take care of that while also taking care of our clients. And this is our response to the critical demands for the lack of housing in Toronto, and also the lack of housing for our clients As mentioned, many of them are living with mental health illness. So I really do appreciate your time today, and I hope you will look at our application favorably. Thank you so much for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Back to you, sir. We can, depending on what the panel thinks, we can certainly do the second and third condition that you mentioned. I'm not sure we have jurisdiction to put a condition around use and function. We can only really speak to the variances or the conditions as the variances are before us. So I don't think we're in a position to do a condition that says the variances are only good if you use it for this purpose. That's beyond our jurisdiction. Okay? I mean, I appreciate that's minutes of settlement, and that'll have to be sufficient for those who have signed those minutes. Okay? Any questions, panel?
No, thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll take this into committee.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chair. I know there's a number of people here. I think you're all associated.
Oh, pardon me.
okay?
They're all in
But we-
support, right?
And they all obviously are in support. We do have one person online that we could hear from. They are in support, but
Sure. And again, I apologize. I shouldn't have shut that off. I want to give everybody who wants to speak in support of this an opportunity to speak. So is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? Please come on up. My apologies. I didn't mean to cut you off. Thank you, Sabrina.
no worries.
Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Craig Hughes. I live at 16 St. Andrew's Gardens. I'm a former tenant of 118 Havlock. My father was in a car accident which gave him a brain tumor. I moved back in with my parents to help support them. My father was unwell for a very long time, and while my family did get through it, by the time it ended, my life was seriously disrupted. I ended up sleeping on my mom's couch in a one-bedroom apartment she ended up in. When my mom had to go into long-term care, I was having difficulty finding housing. Madison saved me from that. I moved into 118 Havlock in 2001. It's a wonderful house in a great neighborhood, conveniently located near shops, supermarket, and TTC. It backs onto a wonderfully busy park. I currently live with about 7 other people Madison is helping. It's my understanding that Madison is looking to do work on 118 Havlock in the hopes of helping even more people. I hope that they can do this. It's a great building and a great neighborhood and a great opportunity to help people.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Next. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Ian Andres. I'm a lawyer with Goodmans, and I'm here today on behalf of 4 owners. The 4 owners that Mr. Cahar spoke about being the 2 adjacent owners on the north and south and 2 owners across the street. I was here the last time the application was before the committee over a year ago. At that time, speaking in opposition to the application on behalf of the same owners. This time I am here speaking in support of the settlement and in support of the approval. I just wanted to give you a few remarks, if you'll indulge me for a moment or two. Since the time of the previous refusal and through the TLAB appeal proceedings, our clients have had numerous discussions with the applicant, including with Mr. Cahar. Him and I have had numerous discussions about this. And we are pleased that the applicant, that Madison has listened to our concerns, modified the scale of the building down from the 4-story taller building that was proposed previously to a 3-story building that fits better with the neighborhood streetscape. My client at 114 Havelock to the south is also pleased that the foundation wall is now being pulled back to avoid the tree protection zone for that large silver maple tree in her rear yard, which I think was overlooked the first time, but we're pleased to say that it's been addressed comprehensively this time around. So I am here today speaking in support, and in terms of the conditions that Mr. Cahar put on the screen and is requesting, all 3 of those conditions are important to my clients. So to your comment, Mr. Chairman, about the first condition, respectfully, I think the committee does have the authority and the jurisdiction under the Planning Act to impose that condition. The Planning Act says the committee can impose whichever conditions are deemed advisable. And because this is a reduction relief from the zoning standards, the committee could, if it sees it as advisable, authorize deviation from the zoning standards only in connection with a specific use. That's been done before and certainly could be done here. Obviously, we're in your hands, and if the committee's not prepared to do that, then we can't force that upon you, of course. We do have minutes of settlement, you're quite correct. And I acknowledge that this is not the kind of thing that the chief building official is necessarily going to have much to review or say about at the time of issuance of building permit, but it is a condition that would be an ongoing condition that the variance only remains valid insofar as that use is what it's connected with and how the property is being used. So Madison was prepared to agree to it. We think it's reasonable and advisable and respectfully request that it be imposed. On the second condition, the proposed development being constructed substantially in accordance, as you know, that's a very common condition. In this case, it's particularly important for the basement foundation. So the plans dated April 22nd that were submitted, the only real change to those plans from the original application plans was that the A-1 drawing shows the basement foundation wall moved inwards, as Mr. Cahar said, to the north. And so it's that plan in particular that we'd like the variances tied to. And I say that because the other plans, including the site plan, actually don't show the correct tree protection zone for the tree in question. It's really only on the basement plan that the tree protection zone is depicted properly with the full radius. And you'll see on that basement plan that the south foundation wall is outside of the tree protection zone in its proper depiction. So that matters to us. And therefore, we support the request that the development be constructed substantially in accordance with the April 22nd settlement plans, including basement plan A-1. And then finally, the urban forestry, I believe that's a condition requested by urban forestry on this application as well. And pursuant to our minutes of settlement, there are certain mitigation measures that Madison has agreed to, which we'll want to ensure form part of that urban forestry application. So I think that's a separate process, obviously, that we'll deal with.
So I think, again, we'll discuss this amongst us all. I think we're going to tie it to all plans and elevations. So that would, of course, include the basement plan.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Sabrina, I'm just going to ask your advice. I made a bit of a ruling, but the condition number 1 about, these variances being conditional on continuation of this particular use seems beyond our jurisdiction. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay.
All I can offer is that as part of the purpose of application, that we could include that this is for the Madison Community Services.
Yeah, but I mean, that wouldn't necessarily preserve
No.
the use going forward. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the reason why this became an issue is because this particular use doesn't fit neatly into the zoning definitions of uses, and there was quite a lot of concern and misunderstanding, I think, as to how this building is treated for zoning purposes. We're past that. We've agreed to settle based on these plans, so we'll leave it in.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to suggest to the panel that the fact that you have minutes of settlement, I think, are binding on each of the parties. So I think it's best just to leave it as that.
I mean, our request stands, and obviously you'll do what you do, but I will say the Planning Act does not say what
I understand, sir.
advised.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And there are others here who want to speak to this? Or we all okay?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have one person online, so we might want to just hear from them.
Sure.
In support.
Hello.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Your name and address,
Hi.
please.
Sure, my name is Stephanie Sawa. My address is 1367 Dundas Street West. And my remarks are very brief. I am fully in support of this application and amended variances. I want to echo what Chama Chongo said earlier about the desperate need for supportive housing for folks who are precarious. Just across the way in Dufferin Grove Park, there's no secret, there's an encampment, and such a project that Madison Community Services is undertaking with 118 Havlock Street would substantially benefit those very folks who are just a few feet away from this project. Those are all of my remarks. Thank you so much, Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate you taking the time to hear from me today.
Great, thanks very much. All right. If there are no further questions or speakers, we'll take this into committee. Anyone want to start?
If I may.
Go ahead, Zahir.
Thank you, Chair. I'm so very glad that this application has come before us again. I do remember the original application that came before us and was disappointed that it was refused. I think this is eminently important project for the most vulnerable folks in our society. So I'd like to move, if nobody else has any concerns, I would like to move for an approval of this project, but I'll wait until my colleagues have had their opportunity to.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to this item? Dylan?
Just very briefly, I just wanted to say that it's a really thoughtful design. I love the design. I wasn't there at the earlier one, which I know is controversial, but the new one really fits into the neighborhood so well, and yet provides a lot of space for the services. And I'm really glad to see that, such a really good design has come through the process for such a really important cause.
Great. Anyone else, Peter?
Yeah, I agree with both colleagues, but I think we should discuss the conditions and whether that first condition is appropriate. I would prefer to not include it. I think it feels wrong.
Yeah, I think it just, notwithstanding a legal opinion, it feels like it's beyond our jurisdiction. And Sabrina kind of feels that we can't monitor it, right? And it would be inappropriate. And there is minutes of settlements which will govern this between the parties, so maybe it's best just to leave it as that.
Adjust the purpose of suggestion.
Yeah.
Maybe that, I know it's not binding, but at least that kind of,
Sure, I mean, we can. The notice of decision will outline the owner on the property, which is under Madison Community Services. So we may not have to. It was just a suggestion, but I leave it to the
Doesn't
committee
hurt,
to
I
decide.
don't think.
Okay, that's fine, we can do that.
And the other two conditions, which I think we're probably pretty fine with, right, in terms of tying it to plans and the forestry.
The forestry, yes.
So through you, Mr. Chair, then if we're applying to plans, then we mean all floor plans, all elevation plans, and site plans. Typically, we don't include floor plans.
No, I wouldn't do floor plans.
But there has been a comment about the basement plan to show the tree protection zone.
So could we do elevations and the basement plan?
So we can do site plan, elevation, and the basement plan.
I think that works.
That works. So here you wanted to make a motion, so is that fine with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to move a motion to approve this application, and hopefully I get all the conditions. Forestry number 2, and tying it to the basement floor plan, the site plan, and elevations, if I've got that correct.
And then it'll be as amended, including that note
As
under the
amended.
purpose of application.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, motion by Mr. Byatt with those conditions for the amended application. Do I have a seconder? Mr. McKay, all in favor? Here? Okay. That's approved. You have your approval. Congratulations. Okay. We move on to item number 16. Just, everyone okay with just pushing through till we get?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I guess.
We just have a couple more left.
Yeah, 1613 Crookshank Ave. This is an application to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing an east side 3-story addition, a front covered porch.
Oh, yeah.
And a rear deck with stairs. Also to permit a front yard parking pad and to construct a rear 1-story ancillary building. The existing rear 1-story ancillary building will be demolished. Committee has before it a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of the subject property, and a cover letter from the agent. We have staff report from Transportation Services and Metrolinx advisory report.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent here in person, no registered speakers for this item.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gain.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. I am Trevor Gain. I am the agent and applicant here on behalf of the owners.
Okay, panel, is anyone?
We need to discuss the transportation.
We need to discuss but does anyone need a presentation on this?
No, just the transportation.
Okay, Trevor, we don't need a presentation, but obviously we've got a recommendation from transportation, and perhaps you could speak to that.
Yeah, just very briefly. So where this came about, we have a permit from early in January to do the additions and renovations that are happening on the site. And part of that was there's a triple car garage in the rear yard. The family doesn't have a fleet of cars, so that space is better used for them now as a green space. So we're demolishing the garage. There's a side addition that will take place where that driveway is, and the whole backyard is returning to soft. So as a result, the owners are looking to maintain the parking space in the front yard completely on private property. And that's the variance before you. So transportation is referencing this municipal code 918, which is a front yard parking pad.
Right.
That is news to me. I've had this variance approved a couple other times throughout the area in East York, and that has never popped up. And that municipal code has been around for a while. So I'm not sure what prompted it, but basically, you know, we have no planning staff about this application. We have no opposition for this application. And it's basically because as we went through the neighborhood and spoke to the neighbors, most of them are saying, okay, yes, you know, do what you want. We like the house. Get the car off the street. So right now, that area of Danforth, you know, is fairly aggressive with the street parking and the number of cars. By maintaining this driveway, whether it's in front of a parking space or in front of the house, completely on private property, it's the existing situation. The driveway's there. We're not changing it. The curb cut is there. We're not changing it. We're just asking to keep the car parked there. Mainly we don't add parking on the street, the competition, just to help the neighborhood. So overall, this is kind of a unique situation that by maintaining the parking space, or I guess adding the parking space, we're not decreasing soft landscaping. We're not into a tree protection zone. If anything, we have a huge increase in soft landscaping on this property, almost 400%. And just as an aside, if the parking pad was to be removed and the curb cut repaired, the actual gap between the neighbor curb cut and the one to the west, that length is still not enough for an additional car. Right now, there's one car on each side of this curb cut, and that 3 meters restored is still short according to transportation. So there's really no benefit to anybody to get rid of this parking space. It's actually more in keeping because there's detached garages on the four corners and this little short strip of Crookshank as it tees into Carlaw and Gough. And after that, there's just parking pads kind of scattered up and down the street. So we feel that this is, you know, almost no impact to anybody on the street. It's sort of a technicality that transportation dropped on it. And there are sort of conditions of approval. There's no either or. It's just remove it. So if the committee does agree to grant this, we ask you to ignore that transportation comment altogether. We have no problem if you want to tie this to the site plan so that our driveway and our landscape and everything is locked. We have no problem if you want to do permeable pavers. It's an old asphalt driveway. It needs to be changed anyways. And like I said, it's pretty minor, and the neighbors are on board, and we feel that it's in keeping. One last thing I will add. So in the transportation comments, they mentioned, okay, this all goes away if we provide parking on site. So based on the lot frontage, we can have an integral garage with a driveway because we're greater than 7.5 meters of frontage. But when you look at the street character in this area and the urban context, an integral garage is just completely out of character. I think what we built is more in keeping and favorable with the neighborhood.
And so the spot on private property where you're proposing to park the car, would that typically, the dimensions of that would typically conform with the requirements for a parking spot?
Yeah, you could sort of see, I dimensioned it there. It's 2.65 by 5.6 meters if we zoom in. Or is it? Yeah, so that's your typical green pea parking spot. We have a variance for width. And the reason why is because the parking space just goes south of the existing wall. And as a result of that, when you have something that blocks the parking space, you need another 12 inches. So it's just a little technical detail, but that parking space is any green pea parking space you find throughout the city of Toronto.
Which by my recollection are pretty tight.
It's the same as, yeah, if this was a, a pad, that's it. So a front yard parking pad can be marginally smaller by a little bit, and most of the time they'd want the parking pad on the boulevard to increase the green space on private property. But in this particular case, like I said, we're keeping it on private property in front of the committee. It's a zoning issue, and there's no other changes to the site at all.
Okay, thank you. Dylan?
So we don't, even if we approve this, transportation can still tell you no, right?
Yeah, this is sort of the first step. So if we get through this, then you're right. We still have to deal with transportation, especially when they come and fix the curbs in the summer. There'll probably be, we got to go through that. So we realize the battle that we're after, but step number one is just to get this approved.
I mean, if transportation won't move, is there space for you to actually put the parking spot? I know you'd have to adjust the plans, but is there space to actually extend the driveway just a little bit more so that you can actually park the car beside the
That's what we talked about when we originally designed it. That little side addition is a stair that goes up and down. So if we did do that, yeah, it's a complete redesign to get that in place, and it really affects the layout and the integrity of the house, or just how the family's going to use it. So,
but if you're, I guess I'm asking, if you're unsuccessful in persuading transportation, is that an option that you can do?
Everything's an option. Obviously, there's money.
There's enough space there for the.
Yeah, there is enough space. We have the side yard there for it, so it does work. It's just we would have to. This is all constructed, right? So we would have to.
Oh, it's all constructed already?
Yeah, it's part of the permit we had in January.
Oh, I see. So why, if it's all constructed and permitted, sorry, you probably never explained this, but why are we needing to come back to this?
The parking was never, we had to come for the parking. So the permit we had, we showed that there was no parking in the front yard.
Right.
And similar with some of the other variances, that the technical ones, the porches and whatnot. So we got a permit to make the building completely 100% comply.
I see. So all that, most of that extension's already built and everything?
That's correct. Yeah.
I see, okay.
Okay. Gary?
Just with respect to the curb cut, does it need to be widened at all, or is it all right?
No, everything, the curb cut, the driveway, everything's in existing situation.
They're in functioning, okay.
There's no change to soft landscaping, curb cut, nothing.
Okay.
All right.
All right, any further questions? See none? Thank you. Let's go into committee. Dylan?
Yeah, normally I'm not a huge fan of front yard parking, but honestly, this seems entirely reasonable.
It's on private space.
It's on private space, the driveway's already there. I'm always glad when we're not doing integral garages. I don't think they really contribute to this cheapskate. So recognizing that our approval does not mean that transportation will necessarily go for it, I'm, in this case, happy to go along and let the applicant then try to negotiate with transportation.
The agent did offer up to make the driveway out of permeable paver since they have
Yes.
to redo it, so.
I'm happy to put that as a condition. Yeah, we can put a condition of permeable pavers. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
If I may
Shahir,
just
did you
add-
want to speak?
Just a quick point. I was just looking at Google Map and I noticed, I think it's number 17, Crookshank, which has a front yard parking pad. So it wouldn't be unusual. It wouldn't be this particular application wouldn't be a precedent. So I mean, I agree with Dylan that I think this, we could approve this application and the agent will be able to deal with the issue later.
All right, then maybe Dylan, can I ask you to do a motion?
Yeah, so I'm happy to make a motion to approve these variances with the condition that the driveway be built with permeable pavers.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed, I have a seconder, the other Mr. Reed, all in favor? You have your approval, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with transportation.
Sorry, Dylan, driveway or the parking pad?
The parking pad.
Okay, item number 17.
Chair,
Is
this our last one for the, sorry for the month?
Yeah, and can we make it through one more, Gary?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Good, okay.
excuse me, number 17, 137 Heath Street East. This is an application to alter the existing two-story, excuse me, detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition with a rear basement walkout, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear second-story Juliet balcony. You have to forgive me, I'm going to need just a little sip of water. Maybe we can't leave for here. Okay. It's an application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition with a rear basement walkout, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear second-story Juliet balcony. Committee has before it a copy of the plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. Revised site plan received April 23rd. 7 photographs of trees on the subject property. Covering letter from the agent. An arborist report, a building length and depth analysis from the agent. We have staff reports from Urban Forestry, correspondence and support from 128 Heath. 2 form letters in support from 135 Heath Street East and 11 Inglewood. We have correspondence in concern from 141 Heath Street East.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
Okay. Mr. Brander.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Adam Brander from Brander Architects. Our address is 260 Carla Avenue, Suite 202D. I'm the agent for the proposal at 137 Heath Street East.
Okay, panel, does anyone want a presentation on this one? We want to go straight to questions? Sir, we don't need a presentation from you today. We've read your application. We're familiar with the material. We may have questions, but before we do that, is there anything you'd like to share with the committee?
Yeah, I think one thing is just that the homeowners have spoken with each of their immediate neighbors in advance of the hearing. The next door neighbor to the west, who had provided a letter of support, as did other 2 neighbors, as you mentioned. The adjacent neighbor to the east had shared some concerns in a letter last week, and these are now all satisfied. So from a neighbor perspective, I think everything's been addressed.
Okay. Okay, panel, any questions of the speaker?
Not from me, Chair.
Well, it looks like we have no questions, so let's take this into committee.
I can take this, Chair.
Sure.
I think this is reasonable, and I think the building depth analysis that the applicant added in his package is really helpful in seeing that this depth is very common along the street. I was concerned with that, but I think this shows that this is the nature of redevelopment, and this is kind of the new established line. And the fact that there is significant support from the immediate area, I think kind of confirms that. So I'll move approval of the application subject to urban forestry condition 2.
Okay, motion by Mr. Reed to approve with forestry condition. I have a seconder, Mr. Byatt. All in favor? Okay, you have your approval, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll resume at 2:35.
Sure, that's great. Thank you all.